Ontogeny. 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 Ontogeny.
Looks like we're going. Check, make sure it's working. Yeah, we are live. How is the sound, everybody, first of all? I didn't have time to do a test stream or anything, because I just got in to Utah. But, hello, Rhacodactylus, Golganek, Salamander. How's everybody doing? It's great to have you here. Here, let me make sure that this is muted. There we go. But welcome to the Utahraptor Mega block here at the Utah Geological Survey. Here again is Utah State Paleontologist Jim Kirkland to give us a tour. Yeah. Thank you again, Jim, for doing this. This has been really excited about this.
It's a nuts week.
Yeah, it really has been.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. Hope everybody's doing well. It's really good to see you. And if it's your first time here, welcome to Paleontologizing. My name is Danny Anduza. I work on dinosaurs, and I stream paleontology outreach here on Twitch. We're going to be out in the field digging up dinosaurs. In a couple days, I'll be out there in Wyoming. So and I'll be taking you along for the ride and live streaming whenever I can. So
you'll be out with the Carnegie team.
That's right.
Part of it.
Yeah.
You got to interview him about Argentina.
Yeah. Matt Lamana. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Yeah. Anyway, we've got a really, really special stream for you today because this is an absolutely unique specimen here, collection of specimens. It's hard to find the words for this just because there is nothing else like it. Jim, do you want to tell us a little bit about this? What makes this so special?
We call it the Utahraptor Mega block.
Yeah.
For a short two-word explanation.
Ontogeny.
But it's we have interpreted this as being formed by quicksand.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it was on the margin of a big lake sequence.
Mm-hmm.
The lake levels retreated. So this environment here would have been the floodplain,
mm-hmm.
soils and plants growing, everything hunky-dory. But as sediment piled up, it causes compaction. And the sands and the mud associated with the lake sequence underneath, the water isn't compactable. That's why hydraulics works.
Sure, yeah.
So you push down the water, and it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So it tries to, escape. And one of the things that water can work with a lot better than clay is sand.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens, it brings sand up from the beach
Uh-huh.
and into cracks, and eventually it forms a sand dike.
Right,
Basically
yeah.
coming up into the floodplain
Uh-huh.
and hitting the surface. You can get, like we see along Lake Powell, the delta down there now.
Yep.
Basically, you get sand volcanoes.
Uh-huh.
The sand comes up in the delta and spills out.
Mm-hmm.
The water drains back into the lake. You get these big features. And basically, if it's near the water interface, it's quicksand.
Mm-hmm.
We call it a dewatering feature geologically.
Right.
But this is the first site where anyone has ever proposed
Mm-hmm.
that a bunch of dinosaurs were killed by quicksand.
Yeah.
And this site's unique because, we do have a couple plant eaters in here, but the plant eaters and the meat-eating dinosaurs, of which we have a bunch, it's a predator trap,
Mm-hmm.
all have the teeth in their jaws. The big iguanodont, just perfect wear file on his teeth. And after they've been dead, if they're laying out in the desert, teeth fall out of the sockets. And
Everything kind of falls apart.
But these are pristine, greasy.
Uh-huh.
And as we'll talk about here in a bit, we've had people study the surfaces of these bones. They're covered with bacteria.
That is so cool. So basically like a bacterial mat that's been preserved,
not
right?
a mat. It's
not a mat.
Bacteria.
Okay.
There are algal bacterial mats in this stuff too.
Okay.
Like on the side of the sand volcano, it would have been wet in the time.
Sure.
Maybe it was somewhat submerged.
Uh-huh.
So you get this algal scum forming on it.
Kind of like a
More
film.
sand comes up and spills over. So you look at it like a stratovolcano
Right.
with little thin algal mats forming on it, and the thing churning. But a couple of plant eaters, a large and a small iguanodont, got trapped into this unit
Uh-huh.
and attracted a bunch of predators.
How many are we talking here? How many predators? We've got a question in chat already.
Yeah, certainly could be a couple dozen. It's a mass mortality.
And it's right here under
It's
these blankets
under
right
here.
here. We'll do an unveiling in a minute. We got to be really
parts.
careful.
And there's a part up at the main lab.
Mm-hmm.
The mushroom, a block that's part
Yeah.
of the sequence up to the side of this. The mushroom, Ethan's uncovered another skull in that. And we had in the break between this and the mushroom, we got parts of it, a little baby skull and a bigger skull, a juvenile skull.
Mm-hmm.
In the interface between them. It's just there's stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
On the surface, and it goes through about a meter, but different levels of things churned in. But basically, and this may not be the center of the activity. This is one of the things we just got to keep in mind, which has bothered people.
Right.
The center of this caldera of sand, the quicksand, might have been actually off the outcrop belt. And what we're looking at is stuff that was during, big hydraulic events, water would come up and actually might have pushed some of this stuff out and buried it on the flanks.
Interesting.
We have a lot to learn about this thing. But it is really unique. There's nothing like it.
One of my laminated sheets is flying away in the wind, but that's
Flying
okay.
away,
Let me see if I can grab that real quick before it escapes completely. There we go. Live broadcast. Anything can happen.
It's by rain, I'm hearing. But it's all blue sky now, so
Yeah.
that's not going to be a factor. But basically, this thing was developed over a fair bit of time, and they're blobs. This is the biggest blob of sand, but they're encased in red mudstone with fossil soils.
Right.
And if you go to the edge of these sandy mixed mud blobs, we found there was no bone. When we first digging this, we thought it was a river channel or something with some skeletons, maybe the edge of a pond. And it wasn't until we realized we had all this material through it, but we couldn't put an ice pick in without hitting bone. That's why it's so
crazy
big.
dense.
We prefer not to make things this big.
Yeah, we
And
never make jackets
people
this
say,
large.
take a rock saw,
You'd
which
be
would
cutting
have chopped
through
out
so many bones.
foot of bone.
Yeah.
Cut it out. There's no way I'm going to do that. So anyway, let's uncover it. And I'll get around the back side. You got the front. First we'll peel this back. And then we'll lift this, fold it, put it on top of that.
Nice.
That'll lift. As they say, lift and separate. Because we don't want to drag it over the bones. So you lift it up, get it up well above. Let's go over, and then we can kind of do that.
Okay.
And on this, grab each corner.
Each corner?
It's going to be tricky. Lift well up. Get it above the top. Bring it over.
Okay.
And put her
Nice.
down.
Yeah, watch out for that bone there. Nice. All right. Look at that. Look at the density of bones here. This is nuts.
And the thing is, you can see this, the farthest thing away, we're still, haven't even gotten into that yet. But, we have skull stuff in the middle, disarticulated skull here, just a couple skulls over there.
Ontogeny.
We had part of a big one. We had an adult partial skull that came out of right here. First big adult Utahraptor brain case from the jaw. This was the part facing. That's outside of the hill. I've always said we should have had it turn the other way. But that is a very pretty side. But when you look down on this slope here is literally the natural slope at the edge of the hill. It really was. We couldn't go in at all because of the bone. But you see, there's intervals that don't have so much bone. But as you see in the mushroom, which was up over there in reality, you always have to flip myself around because it's backwards compared to the way we had it in the hill. This would be like pinned into the back of the hill here. But the mushroom, there's stuff all through that's full of theropods, without question. But we're starting to really tweak our thoughts on this animal a lot. And we always thought it was one species of theropod, a growth series of Utahraptors. And we know we have big adult Utahraptor material in here. And we've probably got juvenile material in here. This seems to be diagnostically juvenile. All this, changes as more research occurs.
Yeah.
But we now know for certain there is another small dromaeosaur, another raptor.
For sure.
in
Okay.
there.
Interesting.
Absolutely, for sure.
Is that the little gracile guy over there?
That the long leg is from
Yeah.
him.
We'll take a look at that in a little bit.
It's much more gracile than even the juvenile Utahraptor material.
Gracile, for everybody at home, just means like slender, lightly built.
Well, you figured
Yeah.
this block was 9 tons when we dragged it off
18,000
the hill.
pounds. Yeah.
9 tons.
And we've got pictures of that over
Oh,
there.
yeah,
Let's take a look at it real quick.
Well, let me show you the hill while
Yeah.
we dealt with this thing. I got to go up here and fly it. This is when we were begging for money to airlift it. But if you look at that little dot there, see that little white thing?
Shoot, that's it.
That's the block.
Wow.
That's the mushroom because we'd already taken it off the top and rolled it to the side. But you can see where that is. And this sequence from about the bottom of the image to the top is about 500 feet. And the hill keeps going down.
Yeah.
This isn't, and we
That's
had
not-
to climb
that's not
this.
valley floor right there.
No,
Keeps
and
going.
we had to walk about a half a mile and then up hundreds and hundreds of feet, hundreds of meters to get up to the site. And it was always entertaining crossing the calcretes to get across there to up there because we'd kind of come in across in that manner. And over in here, this is where we had the bird tracks from that level there that had rolled down. And those bird tracks, we considered, given the age of this, as about 136 million, Valanginian. Basically, these are the oldest bird tracks on the planet.
Jeez.
At this point. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, there are people that say, oh, we got Jurassic tracks.
But are they really birds? or
Yeah,
just little
these are
theropods,
just like the Aptian albion, the younger ones in Korea and in China and elsewhere. And we think, started seeing bird tracks when we started having shorebirds.
Right. Yeah.
Probably in Enantiorthines, these stem
Enantiorthines,
birds.
yeah.
But they were still living along the coast, picking things up. What you'd expect would be a good habitat's a good one today for birds.
Yeah.
But when you look at this whole sequence, the bottom of the Cedar Mountain is right in here. We have kind of a yellowy band going across right in here. It's a little buried over here. But those are iron paleosols. We know the boundary is very wet. We have carbonate up here, carbonate in the Morrison, which represents semi-arid environments.
Yeah.
But the boundary is very wet. And we have dated this stuff like the Valanginian. This is Valanginian here. This is Berriasian, the basal stage of the Cretaceous.
Sure.
But this interval here, we have been able to look at carbon isotopes through the rocks, and we've identified a big excursion that they tied to the Weissert excursion. It's a big global anoxic event that happens in the Valanginian. So tied to a number, we have about 10 radiometric dates through that interval, now based on detrital zircons out of paleosols, fossil soils, because the soil takes thousand years, and they even more of a chance of catching ash.
Right.
So instead of sampling the sandstones, we sample the paleosols.
Nice.
We think getting more better ages. But because of that, we have a global marker we've identified in here that we can correlate all over the world, mostly in marine rocks of that age, because that's where we have rocks that age. Because almost everywhere in the world, pretty much this whole interval is an erosional surface. It's an unconformity.
Right.
And we only get this in eastern Utah because of what we call salt tectonics. We had thousands of feet of salt under us.
Ontogeny.
Quicksand, it moves.
Almost
and
like
it
toothpaste
moved up
you
into
throw on.
arches. What gave us arches? But when that came up, the surrounding region went down. And everywhere else in North America, because sea level was so low at this time, was erosional. So we have this gap. And it's like global, because global sea levels were down.
Sure.
Basically, only in Grand County, Utah, do we have this record. And we're really excited about that, because even though this whole upper yellow cat above this big paleosol here, to right about there, is all Valanginian, probably only a couple million years of time. The whole Morrison below, the upper Jurassic, all the way to the bottom of it's only 7 million. And it's probably 3 times thicker than the Cedar Mountain Formation is. It's deposited more rapidly compared to a lot of dinosaurs, so it's pretty nice, but it's one fauna. But when we look at this, that's all one fauna, we think, the Utahraptor fauna. This lower level, we have all these stacked fossil soils that take a long time.
Right.
I think that's like 5 or 7 million years, like the whole age, the length of time the whole Morrison took.
Yep.
And there may be 5 dinosaur faunas sequentially in there that don't overlap at this point. And we're just learning that in the last couple of years. We're just putting it together, going, we have in the yellow cat now 4 different species in probably genera of therizinosaurs. 4. There's one up in the upper yellow cat, 3 in the lower yellow cat at this point.
That's nuts.
We have 6 Polycanthine ankylosaurs and at least 5 big raptors, through the sequence.
Yeah.
And you get above this bed, you get Deinonychus, But that whole lower interval is nowhere else in North America, virtually nowhere else in the world, with fossils, terrestrial fossils in it, except for Grand County, Utah.
And that's where we're going to be working in July and August.
It's unique. Dawn of the Cretaceous National Monument. You didn't hear me say that.
No, we should make it happen, though. Absolutely,
it's totally unique.
Yeah.
On the planet. They have a little bit of stuff that age in England. There's like a couple dinosaurs. It's very marginal marine. It's like two dinosaurs from the whole interval. And then a gap, and you get up into poison strip level.
Right.
The Wealden.
Very cool.
Upper Wealden. But the lower, the Purbeck Formation, which has the base, there's only a couple things from there. But we now know we have all these dinosaurs down to this point, going right down to the end of the Jurassic. But I said, there's a 5 million year gap in the end of the Jurassic here. But if you go to Portugal, and I would say you should do it, because Portugal is a beautiful country. Sea cliffs of Upper Jurassic that are gorgeous, look just like this. But there's 800 feet or so, sea cliffs of this stuff, full of dinosaurs.
And just go out for a swim during your lunch break or whatever.
Spain, also a Puente, incredible Upper Jurassic sequence. That's where we see for sure, because we have marine basal Cretaceous going into the top of it, where we have the last part of the Jurassic. And it's a very Morrison-like fauna. They have Supersaurus. They have true Stegosaurus. They get Allosaurus, Europeensis, different species, but it's Allosaurus. They got Torvosaurus. We have Tannerite, they got Gurney Eye.
Right.
I mean, it's a Morrison fauna.
Yeah.
Megalosaurs, they got Ceratosaurs in there, just fragmentary stuff so far, but there's Ceratosaurs for sure. Megalosaurs, Ceratosaurs, and Allosaurids, like Allosaurus, all go extinct at this level. Another group that goes extinct that's nuts are the Diplodocans.
Right,
we lose most of our sauropods.
And they were so successful prior to that, too. They're just everywhere.
Rapachisaurs, and Dicraeosaurs survived in like the Tethys southern hemisphere. But they're all gone up north. And we end up with titanosauromorphs that come out of brachiosaurs. The brachiosauroids we get in these rocks, the European sauropod workers think they're closer to their sauropods than ours. And then we get turriosaurs, a group of sauropods that are known not at all in the Jurassic in North America.
Came over from Europe.
Big group in Europe. And they come over, replace our faunas. I'm thinking the only things of importance that might survive, maybe Allosaurids, gives rise to the Carcharodontosaurus, in this country. That's possible. We don't know where it's happening. We have big carnosaur teeth in the base. Way bigger than Allosaurus, but they're there.
What about the ankylosaurs? Did they make it
Polycanthines.
Yeah.
I think Mimorapelta, my baby from the Morrison, my one dinosaur named in the Morrison.
Its name is Mimorapelta, but it's also Jim's. So when he says, could be my Mimorapelta.
Yes, it was the first new dinosaur I discovered. I knew I had a new Jurassic ankylosaur before I knew I had Utahraptor. Though I named Utahraptor first because of the movie. Gotta get it out. Okay.
We'll talk about that in a little bit too. The whole Spielberg story and all of that. But
basically, that guy probably gives rise to all these Paleontologic ankylosaurs here and in Europe. And Camptosaurus maybe giving rise to our iguanodonts.
Oh, that would make sense, yeah.
And you don't know this, but Karen Poole, who will be out digging with us, from New York Institute
Oh,
of
cool. She's going to be
Technology.
joining us?
Yeah, but
Nice.
she's presenting a paper on the Dolling's Bowl iguanodonts.
Ooh.
And they are,
That's what we've been digging up for
and
the
they
past
are a new taxon.
few years.
She can diagnose them relative to iguanodonts.
The material we already have is...
Diagnostic.
I was telling everybody this is going to be a new iguanodontian, and
It's going to be a new one. It's related.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the features it shares with the bigger iguanocolossus are primitive features they share with Camptosaurus. So it may be. I've been answering, these things actually even have thumb spikes. You know? I mean, there's so much. We're down on that learning curve. But the learning curve is avalanching data on us. It is incredible to be. I just wish I'd be around in 100 years to see what we know. Because we are going to know an incredible amount about this transition. But the big thing is we lose almost 100% of the Morrison dinosaur fauna.
And that's nuts. So,
at the end of the draft, or close to it. Could be
Right.
based on, just relative to what we got for dating.
Yeah.
The boundary was based on an erosion surface with that sea level drawdown. It wasn't based on extinction. So it was this unconformity. But we now, for the first time, have this really robust record. Dolling's Bowl is up to 7 taxa now.
Wow.
And, it's really showing us this is what's living at the bottom. We have stuff a little older. And these ferruginous stuff down below. There are bones coming out of that over on that side of Utahraptor Ridge. And it's not the new Paleontologic. We've got another taxa there for sure. So that's our bottom
exciting.
fauna, And who knows? Maybe it's latest, maybe it is a Tithonian fauna. It's like, where is this?
Where's the boundary there?
The base of Cedar Mountain, does that include some creature Jurassic? Lot to learn.
And this is super exciting because for a long time, I think the underlying assumption was like, we've got this unconformity here, missing rocks. So there must be a gradual transition from
25 million years pretty much everywhere. Even Asia.
So the idea was basically like, you don't have a big extinction event. It's just you have a slow transition from one dinosaur fauna to another, and we're just missing it.
The length of time is like a third of the age of mammals, so a lot could happen.
Oh yeah. And now it turns out that like there's actually an abrupt change. Something
really
happened.
are tightening that up. And as my talk is Euramerica, we've got to look at. But Euramerica was connected to that. Even though there maybe was a filter barrier. But it wasn't as separated, like Australia is from Indonesia yet. It comes out by those upper rocks, Europe's separate. We've become an island continent for about 15 million years.
Very cool. Well, I need to check real quick for how's my audio doing right now? Do I need to turn it up or down? We've got 7,200 people watching.
7,200. Oh, sweet.
That's a record.
So you
for
want
me.
to zoom in on let's look at some of the bones on this side. Or what do you want to do for a song and dance?
Let's take a look at first, since we've got a bunch of people who just came in, let's talk about Utahraptor as an animal first real quick and kind of clue people in, because I'm sure a lot of people watching might not necessarily know what Utahraptor is. So let's take a look at the skull over there and then maybe at that model that's up there on the cabinets too. Utahraptor is a dinosaur that Jim here described in 1993. That was, like the week after?
Started digging it in 1990. So I found it when the book came out, Jurassic Park. And I named it when the movie came out.
So that's the model of it right there. You're familiar with Velociraptor from Jurassic Park, right? So Velociraptor from the movie, it was actually way bigger than Velociraptor was in real life. Real life Velociraptor would be about this tall, about 2 meters long, about 6 feet.
The book is based on Deinonychus.
So
he made the mistake. He followed Greg Paul, who synonymized Deinonychus and Velociraptor, which made no sense. 30 million years separate in time and 2 different continents. That were separate.
Morphologically really different too, but I don't know. The name stuck, and I think...
Well, stuck with the movie.
Of course. Crichton, I think, really liked the sound of the name Velociraptor, which is why it you know, it's probably part of the reason why he
Well,
did
and
that. And he was following Greg Paul,
he
yeah.
followed Greg Paul's
Yeah.
book. Greg
That
was
Predatory Dinosaurs of the World, 1988, I think?
yeah, Greg
Yeah.
was the first one to figure a feathered dinosaur.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a weird feathered dinosaur scratching its cheek. But that's probably the earliest picture of a feathered Deinonychus.
Uh-huh.
You know.
I mean, Greg Paul gets a lot of things right. I think sometimes he doesn't get enough credit, but...
No, I know.
yeah.
No, Greg's brilliant. And, you know, brilliant people can be unique.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a good way to put it, yeah. Anyway, so Utahraptor, this sucker's like 20 feet long, full grown. It is way, way, way bigger than almost any other dromaeosaur that we have.
Here's a calf bone, the tibia, the lower leg bone of an adult Utahraptor. And you can see it's
big.
relatively massive. And this bone right here is a juvenile from the block of a Utahraptor. But if you look at this leg, which is based on something that's actually on tour from the block, an articulated, you know, lower leg, look how much more slender that's the lower leg, the knees right here. This one also includes a femora, which is almost the same length as the tibia, and that's the way it is in Utahraptor. It's a little shorter, but not much. They're not high-speed runners like ornithomimids.
Right.
There's no doubt. Their
stockier.
leg proportions are more like Tyrannosaurs. Deinonychus has leg proportions more like that, too. They're not high-speed, and they tend to have shorter feet. This animal has real long feet, and we've got, you know, feet from Utahraptor, and the toes. We have, you know, pretty much an adult foot, and the upper leg foot bones, the metatarsals, are almost the same length as these, but they're that big around each. You know, so proportions are real different. What's amazing is that claw is virtually a miniature identical claw to the big claw from Utahraptor, which is a foot long. You know, but it's almost identical. But that animal, and I got in a lot of wrestling matches with some of my colleagues. Mark Lowen, for one. You know, like, oh, that's different. It's a different animal. I'm like, well, you know, Occam's razor. Until we get more data, you know, the dromaeosaurs, you know, it makes more sense if this is one taxa.
Right.
It's in the same block. It's not like
that's what you would
know,
expect.
they're nearby or at different levels.
Uh-huh.
You know, so let's be conservative here, and we've done enough work that absolutely we know this is a different animal because we have pelvae fully fused together, and there's a partial one in here and a Utahraptor one right over here. Utahraptor sacra, which is the vertebra and the pelvis, aren't fused together all when they're small, which makes sense. They're growing. This one over there is probably a sacrum this long, completely fused. And we have another one that we collected as well out in the lab. You know, so we know there is a small dromaeosaur. And in some ways, it looks a little more bird-like than Utahraptor does. But we're also seeing features that suggest the pelvis, the ischium, the hanging down bone in the back.
We can show that on the little model that I've got next to you there.
Yeah,
it's a Velociraptor skeleton.
Yeah, and that one's
it's kind of wonky.
Probably pretty wrong.
Yeah.
Because Utahraptor and this new animal are not velociraptorines.
Right.
As we can show you here,
subfamily,
that the tail isn't fused.
Right, it doesn't have those ossified tendons,
Not real long. Yeah, they're long, but they're not.
So would have had a much more flexible tail than Velociraptor or Deinonychus.
In fact, in some ways, and this is why my colleagues at Yale and Stony Brook are really excited. This animal is more primitive than, say, Archaeopteryx velociraptorine split. And Archaeopteryx don't have a tail like that either. But the pelvis is more like a raptor pelvis. This one's more primitive. So this may represent the line that ends up giving rise to birds. And troodonts, which are like this too. You know, and as a colleague, James Napoli, you can follow their stuff as well, their blogs. He thinks that potentially it's going to turn bird origins over on its head.
So it could turn out that dromaeosaurs like this would turn out to be
closer to bird origins than Velociraptor Deinonychus, who are offshoots, you know, that went nowhere, but they diversified radically.
I'm heading up to the office, so hopefully you got everything you need.
I think so. We'll go up there. Hopefully, I'm trying to think what we're going to look for.
I was tuned in for a little bit. So.
Nice.
You got the tail up there with the velociraptor?
Yeah,
Okay.
just sitting on the desk.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
everybody, we'll see you.
Everybody's saying hi, Don.
Field in a month and a half or whatever.
Yeah, we'll be out digging with Don and Jim in what, mid-July.
Yeah, hit the 16th, I think, is when we're
Yeah.
driving out there.
Awesome.
Anyway, and people say, "Well, why are you going out there? You got so much to write up." I'm gonna be 70 this summer, and it's like it's gold mine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the oldest Cretaceous bone bed in North America, and probably in the world.
Uh-huh.
I don't know of any other Berriasian multi-generic bone beds, and it covers like 20 acres.
Yeah.
I mean, they will be digging that in 100 years, and who knows how many taxa.
Uh-huh.
We have theropod teeth out there this long that we still, we're trying to get allosauroloid skull material, as you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're not as big as the animal, they could be younger animal that we got. There's a lot of younger animals that decide to get caught in the mud easier. But the big animals, they're in the Carcharodontosaur size.
Uh-huh.
We're looking things 40 foot long, out there
Yeah.
eating our sauropods.
It's as
and
big
all
as
our
any
iguanodonts.
meat-eating dinosaur ever found, basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, and it's it's an iguanodont dominated,
Yeah.
Turiasaur dominated assemblage
Uh-huh.
with raptors as
Yeah.
one of your most common, theropods, of which we have at least 2 kinds.
Nice.
And
Incredibly
therosaurs,
exciting.
and,
Yeah.
and early ornithomimids that probably still have teeth.
Uh-huh. Like Ned Colbertia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Here, let's take a look at the skulls over here.
And we'll look later at the brain.
Yeah, Utahraptor brain.
No, that's for this guy.
Oh, that's for this guy.
That's for this guy.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And if you look at the size of that brain relative to the skull,
Uh-huh.
Jingmai O'Connor has looked at pictures with scales and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
She thinks that might be the biggest dinosaur brain we got.
So it would beat Troodon then.
Could be. It's certainly in that size range.
Well.
But these guys may give rise to Troodons. I mean, where the split,
Yeah, that would be
in
really
that fuzzy
interesting.
bottom of that radiation.
We've talked about this a bunch of times on the stream before, how we know that birds evolved from dinosaurs. That much is obvious. But, where exactly do birds come from within Dinosauria? Are they more closely related to Troodontids, to Dromaeosaurs? And it could be that, they're more closely related to critters like Utahraptor.
Well, certainly closer to Utahraptor than Velociraptor or
Yeah.
Deinonychus. But this animal, this new one, may be even closer.
Uh-huh.
Which is
Really exciting.
really, cool stuff. All right, you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the skull a little bit. That's
Okay.
charismatic, and it'd be easy for people to see. It'll be nice to give people kind of a basic overview of what the skull looks like.
This is a composite skull,
Yeah.
and it's based on material from I think 3 different quarries. No, 4 quarries.
Uh-huh.
All at the same level, all in that upper yellow cat, about and from 3 different institutions.
So that's here, that's BYU, and that's Utah Naturalist Museum, right?
Well, the Utah here is the Utah Naturalist Museum.
Okay,
Our
okay,
truck
yeah.
goes there.
Yeah.
But the Prehistoric Museum Price, where the holotype
Yeah.
material is. And of course, we got a new raptor there too.
Uh-huh.
That's about as big as Utahraptor. That's clearly not the same species.
Huh. Is it stratigraphically separated?
It's higher, yeah.
It's higher, yeah.
Right before the Aptian extinction,
Gotcha.
which is probably a major volcanic upheaval in the South Pacific. Which some people are saying, well, that might be where an asteroid punched through the Pacific Ocean crust. I'm not getting into that argument, but that's an interesting concept too. Because now we're bookmarking the Cretaceous top and bottom with asteroid impacts, which is very cool.
Maybe we'll talk about that in a bit, how the end Jurassic extinction might be asteroid related
Yeah,
too.
the first papers come out a few weeks ago.
Things are changing in a really exciting way. What a time to be alive. Holy cow. It's like you always say,
Plenty to do.
Yep.
I mean, it's nuts.
these are the good old days,
Yeah,
as you always
these
say.
are the good old days.
Yeah.
But if you look, we got a maxilla, both premaxillas. Both premaxillas from the holotype of Utahraptor. We've got the post-orbital from the holotype. We might have a squamosal. The brain case, which is beautiful, is from this specimen here.
Yeah.
That big tibia is half a centimeter difference in length from the holotype tibia.
Nice.
So, you know, the big animal in this quarry is the same size, and they're the two biggest ones known. You know, which is nice to have a real big one in this quarry, and lots of smaller animals.
Hey, we just got a big raid, it looks like, so let me introduce everybody real quick. Welcome to Paleontologizing. My name is Danny Anduza. I work on dinosaurs. Here's Jim Kirkland, the state paleontologist for Utah, and we're here in front of the Utahraptor Mega block. This is...
See, that's a juvenile skeleton of a Utahraptor right there.
Holy cow. So,
because you see, here's the sacrum, there's the ilia. They're not fused, the vertebra. So not fused. It's a juvenile. You know, well,
very, very cool.
these teeth go probably to a new...
Yeah, so look at those right there.
New raptor.
You can see some of those teeth. So this is not Utahraptor, you think this
That
is
one's not,
Utahraptor?
yeah, the skull and this beautiful maxilla. You know, we
Look
got,
at that right
you know,
there.
another skull on
Look
the
at
other
those
side.
teeth. So that's the upper jaw right there. You see those teeth, everybody? Look at that. Exquisite preservation.
Yeah, here's a claw here, but juvenile right there. A slashing claw. There's another partial premaxilla.
Yeah, look at that claw.
Here's the premaxilla. That's the very front of the skull. There's the nasal opening of a baby.
Awesome.
A very small one, certainly.
There was I remember when this was at Thanksgiving Point, I got to take a look at it. They like, you know, I was just like, had my face pressed up against the glass. And somebody, it may have been, I don't think it was Scott, but it could have been. He's like, are you a paleontologist? I'm like, well, yeah. He's like, how could you tell? It's like, just the way you were looking at this. And he brought me back there, and he was showing me all these little things that they had just uncovered, and there was a tiny little tooth-bearing bone. I think it was a maxilla. It was like the size of a pencil eraser.
Oh, yeah.
Gorgeous little teeth in it.
Oh, yeah. No, it's nuts. And, you know, this fellow that said we may be turning the, you know, bird origins on its head.
Yeah.
Relative to this new little guy being closer to birds than anybody else we've got at the moment.
Yeah.
You know,
Could
at
always
the
change.
moment.
Could always change. Yeah.
Yeah, no, nor the China Middle Jurassic stuff. Inchiornis is, you know, but they're now saying that is a bird. You know, I mean, but they're still debating that. It wasn't Troodon a while back. But because of that thing, it's also got similarities to this. It could change, you know, no doubt about it. But James Napoli, I've told, is the guy that's going to be in charge of writing this stuff up. You know, he's a young PhD.
Yeah.
You know, he's been working on the dueling dinosaurs with Lindsay. Now got a real job at State University of New York at Stony Brook. And they're working on an NSF proposal, which they put in about $250,000 toward hiring a preparator, because that's our problem. We don't have anyone to work on this. Need someone dedicated with skills, and you got to pay them enough to move to Salt Lake City.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so that's some serious money. You know, but they'll probably be paid out of Stony Brook full time, and this will be their job. Will be working on this block.
Awesome.
But what we're going to do, you know, is take it apart. Use these natural cracks.
Yeah.
You know, dismantle sections of it. And at Yale and Ohio, and there's a couple of these things around, they have a micro CT scanner. They'll take things almost a meter across. You know, less than a meter, but almost a meter. So we get a block like this, put it into the micro CT scanner.
Just scan it. Yeah.
And it's subcellular. You know, it's a micro CT scanner, but things that big.
Yeah.
Then they'll take the bones apart. And, you know, just to try to separate these bones at this point, you know, which is the way we've been doing it old school. We've been prepping and trying to extract things. You know, doing it that way, basically we will be able to describe these skulls, you know, long before. And, you know, these guys are collecting stuff in the Gobi and just scanning the jackets and sending them back to the Gobi, sending them back to
Not even
Mongolia.
physically
Not
chipping
even
the rock
bothering.
away. Just
They don't need to do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
And they have resolution. They have information they would never get from the bones. And then prepping them, they'll scratch them. They don't damage them with this at all.
That's nuts.
It
Wow.
really is.
And then they'll be able to just 3D print them if they want to be able to like
Oh
share
yeah, they
specimens.
make the skulls, put the skulls together,
Yeah.
undeformed things. If something's bent, they can digitally
Yep.
straighten it out.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the future. You're going to get into this in the future. I'm an old fart, so it's too late for me. But 3D modeling, 3D imagery, if you don't know how to do it, and hopefully your institution has enough money to hire someone, but they
Yeah.
can get paid well because they're in demand. But that's where the future is, and it's exciting. I mean, it really is. I just wish I was going to live another 50 to 100 years. But I'm totally enthused with what we're going to know.
And you've done so much, Jim. I mean, I know you don't like
I've done okay.
I know you don't like to toot your own horn, but holy cow, Jim Kirkland here has been digging dinosaurs on the Colorado Plateau for
Bit over 50 years.
51 years now.
Actually,
as of this
51
spring.
years now.
Yeah.
My first dig on the San Juan Basin.
Maybe talk a little bit about what is a state paleontologist and what's the kind of stuff that you do in that role.
Well, I can't tell you every state paleontologist has the same duties.
It's going to be different, yeah.
But a lot of them have similar duties. One of the first things is I issue the permits for people working on state land.
Yeah.
And, one in every 6 square miles or 8 square miles, 1 square mile is Utah land, public land.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of state land in Utah. Nevada's like this as well. We have a lot.
Montana too, I think.
Yeah, not quite so much as we do.
Yeah. But they've got that same system where there's a little square
but we've
every
got,
certain
for
distance.
every township, we've got 4 square miles.
That's
I think
impressive.
Montana and Wyoming only have 2.
Yeah.
So, they have 11. Of course, Wyoming is so much of it's private. And a lot of Montana is private, too.
Yeah.
For most of Utah being desolate, beautiful, desert that
High
it
desert,
is,
yeah.
there weren't a lot of homesteaders. Except right along the river. Dinosaurs aren't right along the rivers.
Yep.
So they left them to be dealt with on public land, which of course requires permits, which I issue for the state. I also am duty bound to kind of keep on top of what's going on in Utah. Conduct research. That's part of what I do. Within the state, and before I did work all over the place. And basically promote Utah paleontology in
What we're doing here.
which is easy.
I mean, it's everybody loves dinosaurs. You don't really have to sell people on the idea.
And we have the best record in the world. There is no question about it at this point.
Let me see. Actually, where did I put the?
That's getting really out of date now.
Yeah, which is incredible because
There's a whole bunch getting named here pretty soon.
It was just a couple of years ago that I had that printed up. I hope it didn't blow away in the wind because it might have.
It wouldn't have gone. There it is.
Oh, it's on the ground.
On the other side.
Yeah. But yeah, dinosaur Utah.
Yeah, I have to update that pretty much at least every year. So, see if it's got Yanya.
3D printed Utahraptor skull there.
Look at the right level.
In a little bit, I'll be asking Jim if this is one that I just 3D printed and assembled a couple days ago.
It doesn't have Yana, so that is a couple years out of date.
Oh.
Let's see, what are the most? I know who the most recent ones I've added. Yeah, we have
Let me
a
get
few.
over here.
We have a few dinosaurs there.
Yeah, the most out of any U.S. state.
Yeah, and pretty much. There's only a couple countries in the world that have more than us. And if we don't count birds.
When you say us, you mean Utah. Dinosaurs in almost any
other state and almost any other country. We are extraordinarily rich. And it's pretty fortunate. But, we probably species, and now we're looking at 6 sequential non.
Holy cow.
So, we're getting a history to figure it out. It's like the only is right here in the middle Jurassic. Track sites.
Yeah.
The Jurassic and record. We're getting dinosaurs out of the Mojave. We're getting a lot of them out of the Kayenta Formation. We're getting some out of those. So, that record is building up. I still always joke with people. Got a bone bed in the middle Jurassic.
Nice.
But otherwise, and if you look at that, it's not that many. It's like 17, 18 million year gap.
Well, that was basically unknown when you were.
Oh yeah,
when
yeah.
you were starting to work here.
Well, when I started working on the Cedar Plateau, didn't believe it was a valid formation, even though it was named in 49. Hybrid exception, until into the 90s. When I was naming Utahraptor, they were saying, "Well, that's just Upper Morris."
I got to go over here. I think the signal is not as good. Let's see if that's better. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah,
Download this.
and our website, we have a disk that you can download.
Nice.
This high resolution.
Yeah. Yeah. So take a look at that. It's really, really cool stuff. Utah, like unprecedented diversity of dinosaurs. Incredible dinosaur record.
About a third to a half of all
Ontogeny.
excavation permits in vertebrate paleo United States are in Utah now. So it's like we're not doing it and working.
Yeah.
You know.
How many crews are working there this summer? Because you're tuned into this.
North Carolina, Field Museum, BYU, of course, Prehistoric Museum. There's always groups I don't know. There's a lot of
land stuff.
No, they're just getting federal permits, and I don't
gotcha.
find out after the fact.
Yeah.
And find out, there are big quarries on state land. I mean, I'm always finding out of big discoveries on state land from the BLM.
Gotcha.
Well, they applied for an excavation permit, but it's state land, not BLM. So we thought we better direct them to you.
For anybody curious.
The federal lands.
Yeah.
Or Forest Service also. There's a bunch of people. Not as many as, quite a few.
Nice.
You got a lot of rock hounds out there.
Oh yeah, shoot.
In fact, there's reason we're looking at some stuff from where they confiscated.
That was the one where they just
and now
stole
they
them.
caught them?
Yeah.
How do you think they caught them?
Fire or something like
Nope, they China. They sent 5 tons of bone from the Morrison to China. Agate bone, solid stuff that people love to steal. They were going to have the Chinese sculpt them into dinosaur that they were going to sell for thousands. And Chinese are very talented stone workers. Beautiful. Well, the bone can often. Radiation detectors in China.
Really?
They had made some very hot bone. A lot of bone isn't hot at all.
Sure.
But there's some bone that'll just there's what the heck? Is this a dirty bomb coming into China?
Nope.
So, boom.
Something older.
And of course, they called Homeland Security, and the bust began.
Wow.
5-year process. And it's still going on, but this is, we can't keep up, We know one show annually, the Quartzsite show, which is at a drive-in in Quartzsite, Arizona.
Yeah.
So people drive up in their cars and trucks and sell stuff out of their trunks. And 10 tons of dinosaur is the guesstimate of how much bone changes every year.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
How much bone do we collect? Years in Utah. So it's terrifying to a lot of us now.
Yeah.
Comes the higher the mark. We can't. We have no way to protect this stuff. Ranger per 500,000 acres. Is the general.
Yeah. Well. And let me just do a quick interlude to like a station break. Just welcome to Paleontologizing. Sorry, bad as I normally would be, but today's a very, very special day. I'm here with State Paleontologist, and we are standing in front of Megablock, which is just dinosaurs, meat-eating dinosaurs, and some plant
big juvenile.
Yeah. Look at
lower
that.
end
So
of
that
this
is
femur.
the distal end of the femur right there?
Yep.
The tibia. Wow.
Femur. But
Yeah.
you see how
It's
much
the
smaller it
femoral.
is than the
Yeah.
big tibia.
Uh-huh.
So that's a good-sized animal.
Yeah.
Way better, bigger, even a subadult.
This is a big critter. I mean, holy cow. Here, I've got a visual aid right here. So,
Still the largest.
dromaeosaurids are the quote-unquote raptor dinosaurs that you know of from Utahraptor's the big brown one right there, with a person for scale. So it's the biggest dromaeosaur that we know of so far, and it's also, which is kind of strange that we have this thing called,
Yorgabuchi is older, and we don't think Yorgabuchi related.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, down in the Dolling's Bowl level.
It's kind of trend. All of the things being equal, there's a trend toward increasing
But
size
as
in the
you'll
lineage.
see up in our lab, we have a tail. You know, we
Also, oh, sorry, let me put.
guess got to slip them under something.
Yep. It'll blow away.
These are, you know, we call them dromaeosaurines, but they're starting to say, well, maybe they're going to be Utahraptorines.
Mongolia.
Utahraptorine.
Yeah, you were telling me about that last year.
Because I used to look at his pelvis and say, so much more primitive than any of the dromaeosaurs, which have the ischium is just like an Archaeopteryx.
Yeah.
This thing we're starting to think has an
Yeah.
adaptation.
For anybody. Old plastic model of a velociraptor.
So if you look at that bone right there, the backbone, it's a hanging down bone,
Yeah.
but they get and shared with birds.
Yep.
But if you look at that ischium, the bone
Ontogeny.
that's normally just pointed back, you see how it broadens at the base? This arbitral
Yeah.
end. That's not how it is in Utahraptor or
Interesting.
Achillidatar. It's more like Tyrannosaurus.
Uh-huh.
So way up here of the distal ischium sticking down well below. This thing is shortened, the obturative process has gone down. So you end up with this flared out end. It's pretty much just like that, but these guys aren't like that. And it's just a wisp of what they think is going on. But they have extended tendons that make the whole back end of the tail a stiff rod that barely flexes. A tail velociraptor wiggling all over.
Yeah,
Wrong, because it's a balancing structure. Oh, they got a couple there, just to give you a hint.
Weaving of
Yeah, you wouldn't see the vertebra.
bone there.
And they're also coming off the hemal arches, so the hemal arches wouldn't look like that at all, of these tendons. And what they are, these tendons, then we see this with sauropod necks that have the wrinkled ribs.
Yeah.
Most of that rib is basically an ossified tendon and rib, but, it fossilizes, so you get these incredibly long ribs that go, 5 vertebrae down the length of brachiosaurs and these animals.
Right.
We see that with the tail of these guys. That's those tendons. Tendons in like a hadrosaur, that cross hatch.
Yeah.
Those are tendons that are like among the muscles.
Okay.
Where these tendons and the ones we're seeing probably in some of the ankylosaurs and things.
Yeah.
Now the ankylosaurs, they're probably tied to the muscle.
Yeah.
Connective tissues. But these things are coming off of the vertebra. These are tendons. Tips of these structures.
So rather than being a true ossified tendon, it's more of a...
They're not. They're attached to distal points on bones versus within the muscle tissues. You look at a hadrosaur. Those things are crisscrossing.
Yeah.
And they're not connected to any of the bones directly.
Nice. Yeah. Let me
So you
check
got any
on...
questions?
Yeah, so if you've got any questions, anybody, retype them. I know I've not been very attentive to chat because we've just been engrossed in all of this stuff.
Rolling through.
But we've got 8,600 viewers right now. Holy cow.
If they're all asking questions, isn't that,
No, not everybody.
it's like
not
a river
everybody.
just flowing. Can't read them.
Yeah. But, yeah. And shoot, do I have the alerts going right now? I shouldn't. Are they, did I forget to turn those off? Anyway, let me know, somebody. But Colonel Kurtz, what type of rock formations are these? Sedimentary? They are. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So we only really find fossils in sedimentary rock.
Sometimes volcanic ash.
Occasionally, yeah. Yeah. And can we see the different parts of the Utahraptor bones in detail with some zoom? Yeah, I can walk you around and show you some of those. So here's some of the most charismatic pieces right here. We've got a dentary,
Yep, that's
lower
the
jawbone.
dentary.
Look at that. Look at those teeth.
And this is the post-dentary.
Nice.
Bone.
Yeah.
Because theropods have dentary bone.
Here, let me grab that skull and we can kind of if you want to hold that. It's not heavy, and you could drop it. It's fine. It's just plastic. The other day.
Now let's take the head off. But yeah, so you see, here's the dentary, and these are the post-dentary bones, and in there, see that big?
Yeah.
That's what you're looking down on there.
Yeah, that little bowl right there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is post-dentary, cerangular. Mm-hmm. And you can see these fractures because of the way this thing had collapsed. This maxilla goes and you can see it drops down. There's more of it. Mm-hmm. But if you look over there, there is a beautiful maxilla.
Look at that. Yeah. Right
That's
here.
one of the things. You can just name that dinosaur after that maxilla.
So you're looking at like the lingual side right there. So you're looking at like you're inside the mouth at the right
You see a little
maxilla.
juvenile.
Look at those teeth.
Ontogeny.
Yeah, right there. Nice femur right there. There's the femoral head where it attaches with the hips.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And here's the back of the upper pelvic bone. Vertebra, but in this case not. Here's another animal where you can see there's been a fracture. But this part of the skull, you see all the ribs coming off of this rib. Right here, we have a coracoid and a scapula. So the scapula goes all the way to here, all the way over to here.
Jeez.
And this is probably from this animal. I would expect it could be a big adult.
Yeah.
We don't know that part of these animals real well.
Yeah.
But it's way more primitive than birds and in velociraptorines.
Weird. That's so
it really
cool.
is. It's way more primitive. Eat your chicken. Look at the shoulder girdle. It's really, which means this is coming out of whatever gives rise to them. It's not giving rise to birds directly, but it's its branch of the bush is coming out much closer to what gives rise to birds than velociraptorines are. Mm-hmm. They're specialized. There's a little juvenile sickle claw right there.
Beautiful. So yeah, this is the famous killing claw of velociraptor.
One. And you can see here's some little strings of vertebrae. See that going across? And there's some skull material in here you can barely see. That's another individual.
So there's so many. What's our MNI for?
More stuff here, more legs. Maybe got like 20 femora, thigh bones in here, various sizes.
So at least 20 individuals. MNI is a minimum number of individuals in a bone bed, and that's nuts.
See, and this may be part another ilium that's a bit bigger. It could be the opposite of this. Could have flipped over, I guess. Depends how far forward that goes. Mm-hmm. But we're looking at another inside view, so it could have been there.
We've got some people in chat saying they love raptors. You are, holy cow, this is the most important dromaeosaur, collection of specimens in the world, I would say.
I've made 23 dinosaurs, working on 3 more. This is certainly the most important fossil I found in my whole career. And I didn't find it was Matt Stites.
Right.
But he just thought, looks like a human arm bone coming out of the rock. He was a geology student. And I have to look for bone if you're going to be working up there. And he looked like a human arm bone. Turned out to be a cross-section of a metatarsal of a pretty large Utahraptor. And their bones are hollow, like birds. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But then you go around the block here and zoom in, see part of the maxilla, or premax here. There's another claw there. There's a little scap shoulder blade. Here's part of an adult tail. So this is the transition where you're going from up near the hips to where it starts to become elongate down there. And if you look at this vertebra versus that one, if you didn't know what you were doing, you would say, those are totally different things. They can't go together, you know. But indeed, they change over the length of the animal.
Right.
And let's see, where's that? Oh, here's another premaxilla here.
Look at that, yeah. Gorgeous.
Of course, this one's a little one right there, even smaller. Oh, yeah, how big that is. You know, comparatively, you know, right there.
Yeah.
That's an adult
Premax is
premaxilla.
this right here with the teeth poking out. So see the suture right here between the maxilla and the
You
premax?
see the nasal opening.
Yeah. So there's the nostril. This is the premax right here. And then we're seeing the same thing.
But you start
Right
to come
here.
around here, of course, more limb bones. Here's another ilium that's real pretty.
The hip bone.
Yep. You know, more of the, probably part of a tibia there, of a little bigger animal. More, here's the distal end of a femur, only about that long. There, a couple more leg bones there. I mean, a lot of juveniles. Toe bones.
We have a question if this has been scanned at all with LiDAR or anything like that. It's been photogrammetrized.
We do photogrammetry. We have a model. The money to print it. It's going to cost like $5,000 or so to print it. But this whole front end, we've made a beautiful, detailed 3D model of. And we want to get it printed for Utahraptor State Park.
Yeah.
But no one's got the money. I mean, state parks, they don't want to spend any money on this stuff. They want to make motorcycle tracks. That's going to be a big thing. Another shoulder blade here, coracoid.
Nice.
Little animal. Look at that little, probably metatarsus animal. More leg bone. Here's another humerus, upper arm bone, right there. Other bones are kind of orange stained.
We've got a question. How do we differentiate the fossils from the stone?
Sometimes it's really tricky.
Especially here because the coloration is so similar. You talked about how this is so difficult, just like white bone on a white rock.
Oh yeah, no, it can be, you know, crazy. I mean, how tricky. I mean, you got to know what you're doing. That's why we can't just let people off the street come in and help us. You know, hey, I've got a hammer, and let me chisel some of this off for you. You know, get it. You know, we've been working on this thing now for about a decade. And you know, we've moved some rock. We've probably moved almost a ton of rock.
And it was so you're about 1/9 of the way up. Yeah.
Maybe a little more. Who knows?
We got some questions about how this got formed in the first place. Let me show this image over here. It's really lovely representation. Is this Julius Chitney did this art right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So an iguanodontian dinosaur. We've got the bones of that guy.
Yeah, there's a shoulder blade under the blankets, part of an end of a big femur. Big, you know, probably a big adult Hippodraco.
So yeah, I love this representation right here. This is so nice. But we've got an adult, we've got a bunch of juveniles, and it seems like it's probably.
See, now he needs to color a couple of the little ones, different color patterns. That's a different one.
It's a different species. It turns out it might not all be Utahraptor.
But this is how we pulled it off of that mesa over there. You know,
Yeah.
with a traco, it wasn't easy. You know, way up the hill.
Yeah.
But if you look at the model, these are sand volcanoes down at Lake Powell, and when you take the hydraulic head off it, it collapses. And see, here's a collapse. That's one, and these are all about the same scale as what this thing would have been. So here's our model showing, you know, we have different blobs. These are soils. This is the floodplain. This stuff, sand's coming up from the shoreline of the lake. And that's the shoreline as the lake retreated.
Gotcha.
You know, so it's above it is floodplain, all vegetated. Is, you know, you have a succession from a deep water lake, fairly deep, up into the fern fens.
Right.
That were probably the dominant plant on that.
Well, they had since they didn't have grasslands back then. This is a time before grasses had
Before
evolved.
flowering plants.
Yeah.
In fact, the flowering plants, that whole sequence of the early Cretaceous up to the Natarita. Natarita has flowering plants. But none of the Cedar Mountain. No Valanginian, no Valanginian, Berriasian plants, no Hodivarian plants. Berriasian plants are rare. And we don't even have, in our early Aptian, so far, we don't have any flowering plant pollen. You know?
Wow.
So even though it appears by then down in the southern hemisphere,
Yep.
and we've got some Birimian of China. You know, they really don't start splitting up toward the last 10, 15 million.
Gotcha.
You know, so all of this is pre-flowering plant.
Seeing a flower.
Were probably eating conifers. Apparently kept eating them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at this, here's another vertebral string.
Right, yeah.
And if you look down here, some distal vertebra, extensions on them, but they don't go to the whole length. So they come bundling up over the whole vertebra. But that's the distal end of some vertebra.
Yeah.
Right there. Let's see, where is it? Oh, right here. So this is dorsals, and then here's the sacrum of the new taxa. And if you look at this sacrum, you can see the vertebra totally fused. I mean, there's cracks. And it's totally fused up. So this animal is adult at that size.
Yeah.
You know, where the other vertebral column you looked at over there is a bigger animal, and it's completely unfused.
Right.
You know, and here's some big vertebra, you know, by a big adult Utahraptor there.
Look at the size.
The new taxa. Maxilla, denary, post-denary material. You got some other skull elements. This is the skull roof, right, of the brain. Right there, sat
Cool.
in this little skull. And this is an ischium of this animal. And we're really thinking, you know, this is an adult Utahraptor ischium.
Yeah.
And this one is a juvenile, or the new animal's ischium right here.
Nice.
Small one right there. You know, but look at this meta. Look how small that is.
Shoot.
Even look at that little skeleton.
So
they're,
thin.
they're that long. There.
Yeah.
Look how small
That
these
is
little babies.
crazy.
Yeah, it's just pretty amazing.
That is.
An upper foot bone, you know, of a very small animal.
And here, I need to turn the alerts off on the thing. Apparently, we're getting so many follows that it's just. So let me go switch that off real quick. Hang on, everybody.
Oh, man.
What's that?
I think I finally identified this bone in the middle of the block.
Really?
Yeah. It's probably an adult humerus. Let's see where's the adult one. Not old enough, an adult. Let's see if there's any
And
quill nubs.
hide. That should do it. All right. Hopefully that works. Yeah.
Okay, if you look at this bone right here. This is the lower end, the elbow. It's going up to the shoulder. That is probably an adult upper arm bone of an adult Utahraptor.
That's a humerus right there.
That's a humerus of an adult Utahraptor.
Nice. Do we have that represented for Utahraptor yet? Do you have ones to compare?
We got juveniles, but no adults.
Oh.
First one that, you know, we say, yeah, that's a big adult, you know, humerus.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
You know. But, you know, just, you know, we haven't even uncovered much over here. You know, can't reach it. You know, we're trying to dismantle parts. Look under here. See this and this? That's the knee of the big iguanodon.
Holy cow. Yeah. You think it's probably Hippodraco?
I'm guessing that, you know.
Yeah.
But it, you know, it could be somebody else. Remember, we have a, you know, the vertebra that we have from here that are big vertebra don't look like the sailback down. There's no evidence we've got that thing in here yet. I don't discount anything at this point. You know, and you look at this and say, well, there's not much there. But there's another skeleton of another juvenile right there. There's a jaw coming out, vertebral column going across there. You know, so you can see there's stuff way down as well. You know, there may be a while before we get to that level.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
But if you come around a little further over here,
Hopefully we don't lose the signal.
oops,
Let me go around the other side.
you're not going to.
There's so much rock right here that it's... There's my Wi-Fi router. It's like blocking the signal. I can't get through. This thing is so dense.
Just see that big thing right there? That's the shoulder blade of the big one.
Big old scap. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy
So
cow.
there's big stuff in here too. That was bait.
Yeah.
Just hooked a real big old chunk of tuna on it.
all these
Trying to catch these
theropods
mackerels.
came in there trying to eat it, and they all got stuck to it. It's like La Brea. It's like the tar pits.
Yeah,
In a
it's
way.
definitely a predator trap. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't get this many
Uh-huh.
carnivorous animals. Okay.
Yeah. Holy cow.
Careful with this.
So we had a question.
Want to lift the middle a little bit?
Yeah, right there.
Just trying to bring this over
Mm-hmm.
without.
Without catching on anything.
Okay.
Sorry, I've got one hand taken up by this. So.
When this is over, we'll cover it again.
Yeah. Sounds good.
You can go back here
Mhm.
real quick, and here's a juvenile, one of these new animals, probably
Yeah.
adult. But look at those metatarsals.
Yeah.
How long and skinny.
Uh-huh.
That's a small animal.
Are these?
So picture how small that one is.
Yeah. Would you call that ginglymoid? Does it have enough of the sort of roundness to be ginglymoid? Because I know Utahraptor's not supposed to have that, right?
Yeah, it may be a little bit stronger bound together than we see in Utahraptor. Utahraptor
Yeah.
is separate, no doubt.
Yeah.
And here's the brain. We should look at the inside of the brain.
Yeah.
Here's one of these new animals. But there's an impression of the brain there,
Nice.
So
the animal's skull would be about how big compared to this?
Well,
Just with your
the
hands.
back, be about that big across.
Okay.
And,
That's a big honking brain
oh yeah.
for a skull that big, especially for a dinosaur.
Yeah, Jingmai says, given what we know, the whole jaw, the jaws are real
Yeah,
long
yeah.
relative to the skull.
Uh-huh.
Those jaws complete are no more than that.
Yeah.
And the skull is shorter, because they
Uh-huh.
stick out the back further. And,
Yeah. Just for context, everybody, we did that whole stream about Archaeopteryx the other day, and Jingmei showed up a bunch of times in that new specimen. Oh man, the one I've got in Chicago. So that's the same Jingmei O'Connor we're talking about here.
You didn't get her online.
No. No, we were
She's my buddy.
yeah. But yeah, she comes across really well in all those interviews and videos and everything.
She's brilliant.
Yeah.
She's just, I just think the world of her. She's a great scientist.
And it seems like
a
she's
fun person. I mean, just great.
And it seems like she's good at picking the right journalists to cover these stories because it was really well done. Like she picked the right people to give access to. So kudos to her.
Well, you look at this adult tibia, and you see this is like almost completely undistorted.
Uh-huh.
This is the best tibia of an
That's
adult
nice.
Utahraptor. But this is the ankle
Yeah.
bone. This is the astragalus right there, hooked onto the end of it. So you can see it goes up to there. This is one of the big debates. Mark Lowen's like, well, the other one's lower. It doesn't go up that high. And I'm going, it was broken. And those guys
Yeah.
smoothed it off.
Uh-huh.
That is not the natural end of that astragalus.
Ontogeny.
That's why, nowadays they don't want you fixing bones.
Yeah.
They just don't.
There's so many old specimens where they used to do all kinds of
Oh, yeah.
It's nuts. Yeah.
No, I just was looking at a new huge stegosaur skeleton.
Uh-huh.
Pictures they're sending me, whatnot.
Yeah.
And they're talking to the guy, they're selling it at Kirsty's auction.
Ugh.
It's from up at
Yeah.
Dinosaur.
Uh-huh.
It's like, it's
Yeah.
one of Ethan's buddies.
Uh-huh.
He's a good guy. He's not evil. Everything he does is legal.
Yeah.
But this huge stegosaur, he's like, well, yeah, you patch in the bones, and then you got to paint them so it all looks nice.
Right. And it's like that makes it kind of almost worthless for scientific stuff.
Yeah.
Not worthless, but
you don't know,
messes it
what's
up.
fixed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we
Yeah.
know stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe someday we'll, micro, CT scanners will be a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And you just CT scan it all. Okay, this plasma is real.
Ontogeny.
Can afford to CT scan their stuff.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
I wonder if one of these days, hopefully, we'll have some sort of like portable CT scanner thing that becomes available. But it's not like we're gonna be.
You're beaming X-rays. I just want an
I
X-ray
guess.
gun.
Yeah.
A Mazar, death ray.
Good point. Good point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you gotta, you use those things,
Yeah.
lead shielding, and
Uh huh.
having all that lead is hard to make it portable.
For sure. Yeah. Even if they did develop something like that, we'd be like the last guys to get it. And, you know, paleontologists are not high on the priority list.
They've got a good unit, Yale.
Oh, really? They have an in-house?
Larry Whitmore's got a really big, good unit. Falcona's probably got the first big, good unit.
Really?
Texas, University of Texas.
Yeah.
And all their stuff.
I remember hearing about that when that happened, yeah.
They had one for anybody else.
Back when I was in Bozeman, we used to, sometimes on I think it was on Saturdays, we'd go up to the hospital, and Bozeman Deaconess Hospital used to let us use their machine.
Oh, yeah.
And it was always an event. Like, we'd schedule it out, months in advance, and it was
It's not so bad with us here. They like us.
Nice.
But I don't know how to manipulate the data, so I've got all these CT scan data, and I don't know what to do with any of it. I mean, I got CT data of articulated nodosaur tail, hips down to the tip of the tail with armor in place. And I've got the files. Doesn't do me any good.
Well, speaking of ankylosaurs, we had a question from Dr. Terraminator, who said that he'd seen a documentary or a talk or something you did about Gastonia and Utahraptor. How in the world would an animal like Utahraptor try and prey on Gastonia? How would it go about?
I think largely they're wandering around looking at them. I mean, the juveniles are probably reasonably easy to open up, but a big adult, no way.
Yeah.
And if you look at the evolution of it, I gave a 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And I reconstructed a number of all these new species, evolutionary history of this group. The Jurassic ones, Pelta, Dong's Ball. You know, they're narrower hips, straight hips.
Yeah.
Flaring out laterally, really dramatically. Gastonia, they're like this, hiding the animal. Then you've got bigger lateral plates and things coming out. So you start looking at these animals, and the lateral footprint, and they're low. They got short legs.
Sorry, we got a helicopter going by.
Between the hospital, the governor's place, and the airport.
Lots of air traffic
We
here.
often have more.
So the animals are widening out.
They're getting wider and wider, the spines, which make it hard to kick them over. I think an evolutionary trend in coelacanthines, and probably nodosaurs as well, is to keep from getting flipped over. You know,
it makes sense.
Like, you know, and you also see that like Gastonia and Burgii and later Larry McWhinney, they developed these big shoulder spines, dorsal spines, not shoulder spines. These are dorsal. Carpenter doesn't believe them, but they are. I swear, they are. And it's like, okay, and why do they have those spines? You're going to get to them. That's keeping them from jumping on their back and just chewing their way through. Because if they're on their back, there's nothing they can do about it. But all of a sudden, you got these, spines that would have been this long on your back. It's like, okay, we can't do that anymore. Pelta, the one at Doling's Bowl, down the Berriasian, hey, they don't have big spines on their back.
So what do you think it is that led to these animals developing armor in the first place? Is it just like, hey, we've become hindgut fermenters, so that makes us really big and slow, so that means we need to defend ourselves?
Archaeophorans, they're one of the first groups to split off, I mean, in the early Jurassic, one of the
Scutellosaurus.
Probably the earliest split they get in Ornithischia. Some that don't do it, and then Thyreophorans come off. At the bottom. And develop, osteoderms underneath scales. Isn't a big jump. It's happened independently multiple times. I mean, mammals, edentates have armor. And even sloths have bone in their fur. It happens over and over and over again. So the ability to develop, it's like ossified tendons.
Sure.
It's connective tissue. In the dermis starts ossifying, and you produce, and it can be a little different. You look at cross sections of armor in different animals and ventral and dorsal views. You see that some of it's distinctly different from each other.
Sure. I mean, look at ankylosaur scutes versus crocodile osteoderms.
Different developmental pathways. And people don't look at that in the detail. I'd love to see someone do it. Because it's
be a nice master's project or something like that.
We played like Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus, when it comes out of that egg, there's no osteoderms. but all the scales are
Uh-huh.
right there where they're going to be.
Interesting.
You know, so they probably have a dorsal with these little bit taller scales, and the osteoderms start forming behind it. And
Yeah,
those
yeah.
scales become the keratin sheath.
Sure.
But when they're hatching, I doubt seriously, you know, there's any bone under them. And you look at Panachosaurs. And,
Yeah, yeah.
and
We've got all those
Mongolia.
juveniles from
You
Mongolia.
know, you got a skull as big as a baseball. The only ossified stuff you got on them is the cervical rings behind the head.
Yeah.
You know, and those guys are pretty good size.
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean, but we know very little,
Yeah.
which is, you know, it's what's fun. You know, people can discover like this things that really change, you know,
Yeah.
the story.
One
you know?
specimen can make a huge difference
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, you know,
yeah.
you look at Boreal pelta. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, I wish
The one
they'd
up from
got
Canada with the coloration and
the
everything.
front
Yeah.
end, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I wish they'd gotten the back end. That's why the one in important. It's the only nodosaur with the back end articulated. You know.
Yeah.
Because we have full Ankylosaurus, but no nodosaurs
Uh-huh.
like that. You can see the plates on it. I mean,
Yeah.
you know. But I've looked at the thing in the final prep.
Yeah.
You know, man, I want to see the CT data. I really do.
Yeah.
You know.
Nice.
Those pictures of the thing prepped are not that impressive. You know.
Speaking of this kind of thing, we had a question about your thoughts on, have you seen the ankylosaurs in Prehistoric Planet and how they're reconstructed? In
They're
that?
not bad.
Yeah. I don't think we had any polycanthines or nodosaurs. It was all
Nah,
ankylosaurs.
they're
Yeah.
only looking at the latest Cretaceous.
Yeah, it's all
They
Mr.
should,
King.
I think, I'm trying to remember, but they should have some, you know, nodosaurs, you know, Edmontonosaurus.
Yeah, Denversaurus, I think, is from the Hell Creek or the
Yeah,
Lamps.
oh yeah. And the rest of Dinosaur
yeah.
Park, and they're looking basically.
Yeah.
They look at some stuff that's Campanian,
Yeah.
and they actually look at stuff that goes back by Santonian.
Uh-huh.
You know, a lot of that island fauna stuff is not as old as, you know,
Yeah.
Telmatosaurus. You know,
Uh-huh.
it's like, you know, so
Yeah.
they kind of, it's like late Cretaceous. Well, we don't really have late Maastrichtian here, but we got this.
Sure.
Ontogeny.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise they have to skip continents in some cases. you
For
know.
sure. Yeah.
Nothing's going on down there.
Oh no, they did have they had Antarctopelta, I think.
Which is, I don't know if it's late Maastrichtian or not.
I don't think it is.
Campanian.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah. Apologies for that noise, everybody. There's some construction going on down the street, and the wind is blowing in this direction. It's carrying the sound with it. But yeah.
Yeah, you could ask them how bad is it? You know, off of that.
Yeah, how obtrusive is that hammering noise? But yeah, yeah. Man, we've got 9,800 people watching right now. Let me do another quick station break. If anybody's just joining us, welcome. If it's your first time here on Paleontologizing, I'm glad you're here. My name's Danny Anduza. I work on dinosaurs. Jim works on dinosaurs. He's Utah's state paleontologist. And yeah, I'm going to be leaving for field work in a couple days. So we're going to be doing some live dinosaur digs. Make sure you follow if you want to see that. And I'll be working with Jim later in the summer, where we're going to be digging in the same geological formation that the Utahraptor block is from.
But lower level.
Much lower, yeah. So that's how many millions of years older do you think the rocks we're going to be digging in are older than this?
6 to 8.
6 to 8 million years older, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the oldest Cretaceous bone bed
Yeah,
probably anywhere in the world.
that's nuts.
You know, at least some
Yeah.
taxa so far.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I just love the fact that the iguanodonts knew.
Oh yeah, I was.
I mean,
'cause
it's like,
last
'cause
year
we
I was
have like
saying
20
that,
animals.
Yeah.
Whole series. You know?
Uh-huh.
It's lots of skull jaws.
From Iguanacolata.
Points out, you know, in the abstract, these diagnostic characters.
Yeah.
are totally different.
That is super
totally.
exciting. So yeah, in month and a half, everybody's gonna get to see us dig up a brand new iguanodontian dinosaur.
Talk about some of these
I
characters.
cannot wait. That is gonna be
But
awesome.
She's got this stuff
Yeah.
in her abstract, so
Uh-huh.
it's, you know, and she'll be presenting at SVP. So
Yeah.
I don't think she'll be ruining the story for the professional community completely if she talks about.
Oh, that's really exciting. Groundbreaking research. You're gonna get to hear about it.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
she's gonna get to name this thing, and it'll be a
Ontogeny.
hallmark dinosaur.
Yeah.
As I said, there's like 20 of them, whole growth series, and there's eventually there'll probably be 100 of them out of there.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's one of these sites where, you know, there's just so much material. I mean, Prau in Spain, you know,
Uh-huh.
got to name that thing. You know, it's from the base of a coal mine like Burnosaur.
Yeah.
They got at least 20 of those animals.
Oh boy.
You know, and it's like they haven't written up anything other than what we wrote up.
Yeah.
You know, but there's all this material.
Uh-huh.
And same with the ankylosaurs. There's 6 or 7 of them now.
Yeah.
I described 2 when I named Utahraptor.
Nice.
You know, so that's going to be a really good animal. And
Uh-huh.
apparently the coal mine's closed. So this is probably, it's probably what they got is over.
Oh wow. Okay.
But they got goniophlid skulls from that big.
Nice.
That big, whole skulls.
Yeah.
You know, whole growth range of those got turtles. Big turtles, little turtles.
That's exciting.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Do you think it's the same kind of? Because they've got crocodiles from there too, right?
Oh yeah, it's swampy.
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, but it's quite a bit younger. It's probably
Uh-huh.
it's probably Albion, early Albion.
Oh.
So 110 million to 112.
Nice.
You know, in there. So,
Very cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's certainly the best nodosaur material they know of anywhere. Even the stuff in Hungary is, and the stuff in Hungary is not nearly as big. Your Baltic gets pretty big, you know, skulls like that.
That's really cool.
You know.
That's really.
It's quite a bit older too. You
Yeah.
know, it's like European, you know, and they're Struthiosaurs. We know they're a distinct group from nodosaurs.
Yeah. This is so. I mean, I think this is a really important point to make for everybody at home. There's, you know, this is the golden age of dinosaur paleontology that we're in right now, and there's so much out there still to be discovered, and we're still finding new things every year.
Oh, Spain is the Gobi of Europe.
Yeah.
And Portugal.
The last year, I think Spain was like second. I do a tally every year of all the new different dinosaur taxa that have been named. I think Spain came in second place with the most number of new genera after the
yeah.
U.S.
Oh, they're nuts. I mean,
Yeah.
when I was in Spain, you know, we're looking at Badlands.
Yeah.
You know, because it's really like the Southwest.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
It's
where,
that's
you
where
know-
he shot the spaghetti westerns.
Exactly,
You know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You see why. And Franco, when he was the dictator, no one that was doing science very much.
Yep.
And you couldn't even learn a foreign language. He thought, you know, he was very much a fascist, and unlike, you know, he didn't get involved in World War II because he didn't like Germans any more than he liked anybody else. I mean, it's like basically,
Yeah.
you know, if you're Spanish from Spain, you know, you're the noblest people in the world. No reason to learn any other language. You know, so they didn't teach for 30 years.
Yeah.
Any foreign languages. They had the only dinosaur worker in Spain when he took power moved to Argentina.
So there's just nobody working
No
on
one
dinosaurs in this
working,
entire
and-
country, even though it's one of the world's great like fossil locales.
Oh,
That's
they're just finding stuff left and right.
Yeah.
Track sites everywhere. And what's wonderful is they're interpreting them. They're creating a network of museums and interpretive sites.
I've been seeing some of
throughout
those. Yeah.
all of Spain.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just like, why aren't we doing this in Utah? You know, because we're the infrared state. You know.
Well, if there's anybody watching right now with a few $100 million to spare, you know, we
Yeah,
could.
we don't need a few hundred million. What we need, Price, Utah needs $2 to $3 million for a repository facility on campus.
There you go.
You know,
Yeah.
that would do a world of good. For
That's
Central
Trump change,
Eastern.
Shaq. Get on it.
I mean, no question.
Yeah.
You know, you want a dinosaur named after you, do that. We'll guarantee it.
Yeah.
You know, we'll name the big carnosaur after you.
You heard it here. Yeah, 2 to 3 million.
Yeah, that's what they'll need to get it going, you know. And
Yeah.
it's like, try to get it out of the legislature. It's
Yeah.
like, man, they just put out $1 billion for a baseball stadium. You know, $1 billion. It's like, we were trying to get a couple million. You know, St. George is the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, 2-3 million would do a world of good.
Yeah.
In these places. These are world class.
Well, and it is encouraging to see the stuff that Josh is doing there now. Josh Lively, who's now down in Price.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, Josh is it's incredible. You know, I mean, he's, you know, and he should be able to later in the fall.
I think that's when I'm going to be at TwitchCon, unfortunately.
Well,
Which
they're going to be out there
we'll
for
see.
a few weeks. I mean,
Yeah, I got the emails and everything, but I'll look into it because I'd love to be out
That's an
there.
incredible site. That's
That's the Lori McWhinney
world
site?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we got a
Gastonia, Lori McWhinney.
5-mile stretch down there across the Yellow Cat Road goes right through the middle of it.
Yeah.
Where we have 3 major dinosaur faunas with bone beds,
Uh huh.
with a dozen genoholotype dinosaurs
Yeah.
in a 5-mile stretch. There's no place else. Dinosaur Provincial Park.
Uh-huh.
The only thing even close to it, and you can say, well, Liaoning. Well, Liaoning covers a huge
Yeah, that's
area.
enormous.
You know,
Geographically,
and
it's
every
huge.
lake has got different
Ontogeny.
faunas.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another place in the world where you got to stretch. Maybe the Wealden in Britain. You know, the Isle of Wight.
That's
you know,
got-
that stretch.
Yeah, okay.
You know, but it's like 10,
Those are
12
sea
miles.
cliffs. That,
10
yeah.
or 12 miles.
Yeah,
You know, yeah, and you can't just dig bone beds.
exactly.
You know,
this
we
is
got
different.
sites,
This is a different kind of
You
different kind of
know,
work.
we got
Yeah.
the Doling stuff. We got sites up at this level,
Yeah.
several of them, and we got Laurie McWhinney, which is a higher site.
Yeah,
You know, so we got at least 3 levels of multi-generic bone beds.
yeah.
And dozens of sites. I mean, dozens of sites. You know, it's nothing like
incredibly
it.
exciting.
Make just that area a national monument.
Yeah.
Because it is globally unique. It's the oldest stuff on the planet.
And
you
think
know?
about how much like local tourism revenue that would bring in.
Oh, yeah.
Think about
There's
how.
nothing up there.
Yeah.
You know, I've been talking to some guys that bought the town of Cisco and another 600 acres.
Uh-huh.
They want to put a rare earth processing facility on the site.
Huh.
You know, if you're near the highway, there's railroad.
Okay.
There isn't a rare earth processing facility in the United States at all.
Okay.
You know, rare
Yeah.
earths are the future electronics. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
Solar power. You know, there's
Sure.
like
Lithium
and there's
and
nothing.
everything else.
That's
Yeah.
why we have to do everything with China. You know, we have to send it to them basically.
Yeah.
Elsewhere
Uh-huh.
because we can't even process our own ore in the United States.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and that's very central. But they're looking at maybe doing an interpretive site. You know, so
Oh.
communications there.
Very cool.
This is
Yeah.
very early on.
Sure.
But these are serious players, you
Yeah.
know, and it's like, and south of them, not within sight, but south
Uh-huh.
is this rim of this sequence. Because you're right up by the interstate, where they're talking about doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And, that whole part of the state's totally undeveloped, and it's not even being policed. Because you got to go way around to Arches for the BLM to get
Right.
around and look at this country.
Uh-huh.
So it's hours a drive from their offices. So they don't police it. We call them. It takes them days to come out to check out a problem.
Yeah.
Days. And so now all the people who raid the site are coming from Colorado because it's based in Colorado.
Yeah.
And it's like. We had a bone came down, a limb bone, brand new dinosaur.
Yeah.
As big as me,
Uh-huh.
in a block.
Big old sauropod, presumably.
Yeah, they reported it was about 1,000 feet from my tent at Doling Bone.
Uh-huh.
This came down from Poison Stroke.
So new Cedar Mountain sauropod. Actually a
Limb
titanosaur
bone,
or something? of the size?
Titanosaur form, But
Uh-huh.
anyway, this big limb bone,
Yeah.
laying on the slope, they had the Grand Junction Gem and Mineral Club came out, 300 or so of them.
Yeah.
All these couples and whatnot.
Yeah.
One of the couples was so amazed when they found this.
Yeah.
Because it had been a rock fall. This thing had just come out recently.
Yeah.
They saw it and they called Rebecca.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
When she was still with the BLM. And they got out to see it a week later. They had pictures, the
Yeah.
whole thing there.
Uh-huh.
There was only half of it there a week later. Week later. This is 1,000 feet from work. I live a month or more of my life every year.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. That's
it's,
nuts. People
we
just
can't
taking
police
bits
it.
and pieces
You
as souvenirs or
can't
whatever.
Police it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that's why I'm looking like make a national monument.
Yeah.
Have visitation.
That would be so cool. That would be
on
so
the highway. There's nothing else there. Everybody drives
Yeah.
down. What a dust! And you know the views from down there.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like include the road down to the
Yeah.
Professor Valley Overlook.
Uh-huh.
You go by natural arches. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, come on. But don't.
It's a no-brainer. Like this should absolutely
but don't just
happen.
like make it Eastern Utah.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Utah's sick of having gigantic loss of their state, taken away at a time.
Uh-huh.
But just
Concentrated
the honey,
where it's-
the honey
yeah.
holes.
Yeah.
12 mile, but 2 or 3 mile stretch here,
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 square miles here. Like they do at John Day Fossil Bed,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a very legitimate national monument paleo park, and that's how I like to see this structure. you
Nice.
know.
Yeah.
You know.
If there's anybody watching who could help make this happen, then
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, the Park Service is interested.
Uh-huh. Awesome.
We'll see how this election goes, but
Hey, if you ever need any like video work done or something like that for like a video to send out,
we
to
got to get
folks,
people. And it's
I'd
like,
be more than happy to help.
it's
with
like I really, there are people in this state that, but I'm not trying to take away the state. This
Yeah.
is not Bears Ears. We're not taking,
Yeah.
a base as big as Massachusetts.
Uh-huh.
It's like, no, we're looking at a few square miles here. It's going to help tourism.
Yep.
If they build Cisco, You know, they're going to put some restaurants in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Moab, they talk about a north entrance of Arches, which would be not that far from the neighborhood. You want to make it part of Arches? No. That's not a paleo park. We want a dedicated paleo park.
Yeah.
And make the scientific headquarters Price.
Yeah.
You know, but you can exhibit stuff in Green River at the museum there too. But Thompson, right north of Arches, Moab's fighting tooth and nail having a north entrance to Arches National Park.
That'd be great for Thompson. Holy cow!
They might build a hotel in Thompson.
Yeah.
That would be the worst thing that could ever happen to Moab. If they built a hotel in Thompson.
Oh please, no!
I mean,
a rising tide lifts all boats. It's gonna be
I mean, just give me a break.
Yeah.
We're loving it to death. Make it a one-way loop through there. So everyone fighting the same little entrance and going up that big grade.
Yeah.
Anyway, you want to see the lab?
I've got to stay close to the Wi-Fi router, or else we'd lose signal. So I got to kind of stay in here.
Okay.
But let me do another quick little intro for everybody.
That's okay.
Yeah. Another time, maybe.
Another time.
Maybe.
On your way back.
Exactly. Yeah. But welcome everybody. Shoot, if you're here for the first time, it's great to have you here. My name's Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. I work on dinosaurs. Jim Kirkland has named 23 dinosaurs so far.
So far, yeah.
Yeah.
Three more in the works if they let me do it.
Yep. 26 is going to be.
Money
holy
comes
cow.
in to do other things.
Yeah. Of course.
I have more skills than just dinosaurs.
Jim here is the Utah State paleontologist, and he's been working on this. This is the Utahraptor Mega block. This is one of many, many things that Jim has been working on. Holy cow. When was this?
We brought it down.
2014. So, shoot, 10 years ago. So there's been 10 years of work on this, basically. It's this incredible accumulation
But it's
of
been
theropod
very part-time.
Yeah. Yeah. I know for a while there was a
We
GoFundMe.
spent a few years raising the money to buy these boom microscope stands.
Yeah.
It's got to be prepped under a microscope.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit there with a hammer and chisel. It's
Incredibly
criminal.
precise work.
Criminal.
Yeah.
So
yeah, these are mostly Utahraptor, although there seem to be other theropod dinosaurs lurking in here too. And it seems to represent like a quicksand deposit.
big dewatering feature.
Dewatering feature, there we go,
Quicksand
yeah.
for you that like short-
Yeah, this is the block being hauled by a backhoe, or what I would call a backhoe. Is that a regional term? Track hoe?
Track hoe?
Because it's got the tracks on it?
I mean, I grew up the steam shovel.
Steam shovel.
Damn
That's what they call them back east?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not
The old
regional, maybe
days,
it's a
there was
temporal
steam
thing.
Powered.
Yeah.
Steam shovel.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what else do you call it?
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, the only name I know is steam shovel.
Yeah. And shoot, for anybody else who's new too, because we've got like 9,900 people watching. Do we have any Star Trek fans in the chat right now? Because James Tiberius Kirkland here. No, Jim wrote a Star Trek novel, First Frontier, right?
Yeah. The lawyers screwed up our ending.
But look it up. It's good. Dinosaurs and the crew of the Enterprise. I haven't read it yet. I was looking for my copy so I could bring it for today's stream. I couldn't find it for
meets T-Rex. Someone had to do it.
Yeah.
But I had Tyrannosaurus fighting this Allosaurus.
Nice. Yeah.
Utah fight scene.
Is it set in Utah, that part? Or does it probably
Yeah,
doesn't
we don't
specify?
say that.
Yeah.
It's like pre-Utah.
Yeah.
But Allosaurus and Tyrannosaurus only occurs in the tight Southwest. They didn't go up north.
Or at least we have. Well, we would have found them by now if they had occurred up north. Not a single scrap of any.
Yeah, no, sauropods
anything,
preserve pretty well.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's and they didn't come in through the North Slope.
Mm-hmm.
The North Slope is as far from China as you can get. In North America.
Yeah.
They come down along the coast, and then around Vegas, LA, and that part, about that latitude is where they come in. And then they move their way up. That's why the
Western
Allosaurus, Euplocephalines, so many of the animals up in the northern part, they're are just different.
Yeah.
They're close to the Asian stuff. I mean, stuff down here.
Yeah.
It's close to the Asian stuff. That stuff's probably evolved in place for the most part. In Tyrannosaurus and Edmontosaurus, which is close to Shantungosaurus.
Yeah.
The very end, those really big animals probably got a route over the mountains.
Let me grab the Ron Blakey map that I have here. We can use as a visual aid for explaining this.
I wrote the intro to the second edition of this thing.
You did?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I have that. I should take a. Yeah, I should have brought it
That's
with me this summer.
wrong. Now, Ron Seaway stuff is.
Yeah.
That's when he had me go through all the Cretaceous stuff like 10 years ago. You know, I mean, the Seaway was still here at the end of the Cretaceous.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It shrunk. You know, the Tennessee Valley. He's not cooking this stuff up in here.
Yeah.
But the Tennessee Valley and this stuff, it retreated past the outcrop belt. You know, it was narrow, but the tidal wave stuff that they talk about up there, that was funneled right up this thing. You know, you hear about the stuff in the fjords, and you know, it magnifies waves. And, you know, the Seaway moved to the east of the outcrop belt.
Yeah.
You know, because we have brackish water stuff in the Hell Creek.
We do.
We do. I published on it.
Yeah.
Years ago, 2002, but still, I published on it. You know, and said flat out then, the Seaway is east of here.
Yeah.
You know, it goes, and it probably connects Hudson Bay. It might have closed here, or you know, but it definitely was there at least. Even if it dead ended there, you know, it went up to in there. You know, North Dakota. So yeah, it went up well up into here. So a lot of this is pretty fanciful. But when animals came over, there's no Alaska then.
Sure.
You know, well, in the early Cretaceous. And when you get Alaska about 100 million years ago, at the beginning of the Upper Cretaceous, first immigration events happened during Mussentouch deposition. You know, to get in there, you know, particularly in the late Cretaceous, you had the ancestral Brooks Range. You got a multi-mile mountain range going right over the North Pole into Asia without break, into Siberia, straight across. That was an ice cap. Kilimanjaro's got an ice cap on it, on the equator. You have big high mountains, you get snow and ice. So the animals, they couldn't go that way. They went along the coast and then looped in down here. You know, somewhere in here, and then, you know, we had this fauna here. And it's basically animals coming here, a lot of evolution in this dead end of endemic, you know, animals that all the way to the North Slope, they can't get out. You know, and this doesn't show much going to the North Slope either. You know, but you go all the way to the North Slope, that stuff, you know, until the very end, was pretty isolated from the stuff in Asia. But that's how I think they came in, you know, back and forth. And things like Koenig Nathans, you know, they were already here. You know, and then they went
You think they went over to Asia?
Yeah, Gigantoraptor is the only one, Koenig Nathan, in Asia. Everything else overaptors. We have no overaptors in North America. And the only...
Wait, don't we have some in the early Cretaceous here?
Yeah, we have Koenig Nathan. I mean,
yeah, okay,
Yeah, it's the answer.
Yeah.
You know, and they, probably one of these early things getting over there gave rise to overaptors.
Gotcha.
In isolation from other stuff. And the giant Mussentouch Koenig Nathan probably is related. Well, it's not probably, it is related. To Gigantoraptor.
Nice.
You know, which is a Koenig Nathan.
Yep.
You know, and they're both like 25, 30 foot long overaptorids.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, we got one, they got one, and they're related, you know. We got so much to learn. You know.
It's exciting. It's really exciting. Holy cow.
Yeah, no, it's...
Dinosaur paleontology is just
There's work to be done.
leaps and bounds we are progressing in our understanding of these environments and these animals. And
No, for so long, almost 100 years, for the most part, they're not all that worthy of study by legitimate scientists because they're big, dumb, sluggish slugs that died out because they were too stupid to live. I mean, that was like that for, you know, I mean,
these were scientists saying this at the
50,
time.
70 years. Yeah, that's why Jack McIntosh was not allowed to study sauropods.
So he had to go into
He
physics
said,
instead.
He went into physics.
But sauropods were always his true
Yale,
love.
you know, we got this incredible collection, but you guys, you can't do research on it. It's you know, it's the way it was. I mean, it's you know, it's Franco. You know. You don't do science. You can't learn a foreign language. No one needs to know that stuff.
That's the whole thing, is that learning about science just opens up new worlds for people.
Well,
I mean,
learning about everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Whenever something is like, we can't learn that anymore. We can't know about history.
It's a bad sign.
You know,
It's a bad
you know,
sign.
we have, you know, never say you can't learn stuff. You know, it's like that's how you progress as a society.
Yep.
You know. Anyway, that's.
So we've got about 20 minutes more, I think, until I gotta wrap this up. But yeah, we got another water bottle too. If you don't.
But any more questions?
What other questions have we got?
Let's do some free form.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. It's so good to have everybody here. And again, if anybody's just tuning in, I know I just did this a few minutes ago, but I'm Danny Anduza, this is Jim Kirkland, and we're talking about dinosaurs here. So if you have any questions at all about dinosaurs or about natural history in general, whatever, do not be shy. We will do our best to answer those questions for you.
We probably won't. No answer.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. Let's see here. Waiting. And Moohoodle's saying.
The book.
We should. Yeah, let me grab that. Yeah. Excellent. So, you want to take it away, Jim?
Okay. Well, this is a lovely book on our Upper Cretaceous in Utah, which is an exceptional record as well, totally unique relative to Dinosaur Provincial Park, though completely overlapping.
Yeah.
You know, it's like two stories, in parallel. And a friend of mine who was also a geology grad student before my time down at Northern Arizona University wrote this book. She's done a number of natural history books, did a beautiful book on the Chinle, this Triassic of the Southwest. But this is the book she did on the dinosaur faunas of the southwest of Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument.
Gorgeous book. It's like
and she talks about older levels as well. There's Navajo, Siats, our southern faunas, some of Ron Blakey's stuff. Oh, I dug that up. That's from eastern Utah. What is she talking about? There's the pterosaur tracks.
Yeah.
We got casts of that here.
The reason we're talking about this is Christa's coming out with another book that she needs to raise money for in order to pay some artists to be able to produce artwork.
No, she's got the artwork.
Well, she has the artwork. She needs to pay the artists.
No, she's paid the artists. She's
She's trying to recoup
got
the
to
cost.
pay some graphic.
Okay.
Graphic designer people. They're
In
going
order
to
to
make
put
it
the book
as
together?
a parallel book to this. So if you have this on your shelf, the dinosaur frontier, which is Cedar Mountain dinosaurs, would just fit perfectly right next to it. Same length, same wide thing.
Just a beautiful, comprehensive.
There's going to be a number of big fold-out murals. James Cuney did of each faunal level. Six at the time. We've already gone beyond that. But, the six that we could do real good panel diagrams of. But the wall, skulls. My baby. There's a dinosaur name. Diabloceratops, one of my babies. Yeah. So I've had my finger in a few pies.
More than a few. Yeah,
but
pretty big pies.
But basically, she's looking at money. She's paying for the publication. Indiana University Press was going to do it.
Yeah.
And they have given up publishing science books.
That's
Princeton.
So unfortunate.
Was looking at it, it's going to be a gorgeous book. But it seems to be more local interest. I mean, she's talking about the asteroid impact in there too now.
Oh, nice.
It's got stuff in it that's going to be nowhere else.
Yeah. So it's all about the Cedar Mountain Formation, where Utahraptor is from, and all of these new dinosaur faunas.
Basically, my last 30 years of my life. My life's work, she's doing a book. She's, the Kirkland Whisperer. So she's turning my rants and raves and science speak into a popular book. But, she's publishing it herself.
Yeah.
And
she needs money to do it. So there's a GoFundMe, I believe, for that.
Yeah.
If you...
As most authors, she's
Christa Sadler.
GoFundMe. Yeah. And she's on Amazon. You can see a lot of her books there. Her Triassic book is one. It's one. I looked at her Triassic book.
I have that one too.
Yeah, and it's like, so I called her and said, Christa, can I talk you into doing a Cedar Mountain book?
Nice.
You got the upper half of the Cretaceous. Let's do the lower half of the Cretaceous now. you know, and I got her, she bit the hook. But since I made her bite the hook, I feel very responsible because she's paid a lot out of her pocket on artists. And,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and so many of these things is, you know, she had publishers lined up, and we knew that Indiana doesn't pay for art.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, you got too many color pictures. You know, we don't want color pictures. They like doing history books, it's all text and a few black and white historic shots. You know, well, we don't sell that many. You know, they've done like 50 paleo books.
They've done
that are beautiful.
wonderful
I got
stuff, yeah.
Several shelves.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing but Indiana University Press books.
Yeah.
You know, some of the best stuff that has come out in recent decades.
Yeah.
And it's tragic. And they pulled all the books that were not being typeset off. They just said, sorry, we changed our mind. So we're not the only ones.
Yeah.
In fact, Andy Heckert and what's the guy, Heinz from Germany, did a whole big book on chirotherids.
Oh, huh.
From the early Triassic, mid-Triassic. And, you know, pretty significant book. Indiana, they already had it all typeset already, you know.
Yeah.
So now they published it as an ebook only. This has got all these detailed pictures and stuff. So you can only get an ebook. It costs you $60 for the ebook.
For a PDF file.
Yeah, well, it's not a PDF file.
I guess it's an ebook. It's something
if we could get a
proprietary.
PDF file, we could blow the pictures up.
Yeah.
Scale that would be useful. Because Don discovered some incredible sites like that, you know, chirotherid sites in Canyonlands.
Yeah.
Probably the best site in the southwestern U.S.
Yeah.
And it's like, we want to pursue it, and this book just came out, so we want this book. Don, pay for it. You can't get access to it still. You know, because it's all electronic, you know, it's only an ebook. You can't get a PDF. You know, he said, we paid $50, $60 for it. Well, we don't want people sharing it. It's got to be an ebook, it's not shareable.
Yeah.
You know, it's tragic. And it's basically people are not buying books anymore. And nice, pretty books like these, the main places they get publishers Europe anymore. You know, I mean, there's some great stuff, but they generally are going for hundreds of dollars. You know, so pretty soon, you know, you'll get you know, these cheesy books, you know, without, you know, real good scientific input. You know, that you'll be, oh, let's go to Barnes and Noble, and, you know, but the really good stuff is not going to be happening anymore. I'm a bibliomaniac. You know,
Me too.
And you
My
know,
bookcases
when
at
I was
home,
a grad student, my biggest expense was books.
Yeah.
And,
It's one of mine.
Well, it's not mine anymore. I got a family, grandkids. I got to keep alive. You know?
But yeah, so if you could contribute to the GoFundMe campaign, Krista would really appreciate it. We would really appreciate it. I've already given.
really would. This book,
Yeah.
you know, I'd like to see it this year.
Yeah.
I really, really would.
Yeah. And
You know.
I'm featured in the book too. Krista was telling.
Oh yeah, you're in the book.
Yeah.
I'm in the book.
She talks about paleontologizing in the book.
The Suarez sisters are in the book.
Yeah.
Lindsay Zano's in the book. You know, she basically talked to all the major players working out here. Pete McAvicky, you know, their muscle touch at work. You know, she was real. You know, because I told her, you know, it's not a solo thing. I mean, I started this before anybody, you know, came to my fishing hole. But I've worked with a lot of good people. You know, I couldn't even list everybody that I've worked with over the past 30 years that have contributed to us figuring all this out.
Yeah.
You know, it's
a joint effort. Holy cow.
Yeah, it really is.
It takes a village.
It's very multidiscipline science.
Yeah.
Even radiometric dates.
Yeah.
You know, as you know, good date costs $3,000.
Yep.
But then you might still have to wait a decade to get it because you know the people that do the good dates are university types. It's like, well, the equipment broke down and we won't have money to fix it until we get a grant. And, I mean, that's how this stuff works. You know, science, you know, of this sort that's not funded, you know.
No, which is crazy because think about the value that we create through doing this kind of work, you know, and it's like there's so much return on it. We don't see any of that, but
well, you know, most of what I do nowadays is with a few thousand a year of discretionary money I have.
Yeah.
Which is for like someone calls, like found something really exciting, pictures say that might be really exciting. I can go check it out.
Yeah.
But you know, you end up with some money at the end of the year. That's the money I can apply to doing actual research.
Yep.
You know, that's independent.
Yeah.
This stuff. And you know, this thing took us 10 years to get off the hill because we were doing it a couple weeks a year with end of the year money.
Yeah.
This was never funded.
That's
from
nuts.
Day one.
And then this is absolutely groundbreaking stuff. I mean, this is incredibly important. This is helping change the way that we think, not just about Utahraptor, but Maybe about the origin of birds.
Origin of birds and the whole raptor radiation.
Yeah.
I mean, because this is some of the best material. I mean, this Utahraptor is going to be like Velociraptor. It's going to be one of the hallmark.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, really exciting. I'm glad to see one of my babies, you know, get that kind of, you know, you have 2/3 of a skull of the Diablo, and that's it. But they got a lot of Falcarius. I admit, Falcarius is
That is incredibly exciting. Anytime anybody asks me, like, Danny, what's the dinosaur that you think doesn't get nearly enough attention for how cool it is? Falcarius is always my answer.
Well, the Dolling's bull animal is more primitive and bigger.
Yeah, that's exciting. Can we maybe talk a bit about Utahraptor and how it got its name and just kind of that whole story there with Jurassic Park?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let me get some water also. I've done that in a while. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, the Jurassic Park story.
Any Jurassic Park fans in the chat right now?
The mustache twirling. It's a piece of junk. Crushed Torvosaurus claw.
Yeah, I'm not going to say who that was, but yeah.
Oh, I will.
Jim's spilling the tea here.
It's been out. Have you ever watched that, what is it, Gaming Beavers interview with me?
I never did, no. I heard it's good.
You've never seen it?
No, but
they
I've heard
got
good
300,000 views in the first weekend.
He does a lot of video game stuff, right?
Views, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
It's just an interview me sitting there at Thanksgiving Point next to the block talking.
Nice, yeah.
Stuff. I was amazed. I was just like, you know, I mean, like the first day it got over 100,000 views when he put it up. It's like, I mean, you know, that's how I make my living, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
But you want to know the story.
Yeah. Utahraptor, what's the origin there?
Well, I was heading into the field with my daughter and baby daughter and my wife. We stopped in Moab to have lunch. And basically, I skipped out after I ate, let her clean up our daughter, and ran over to the Moab Rock Shop. And in the Moab Rock Shop, I saw a few osteoderms of an ankylosaur.
Armor plates, yeah.
And I had just discovered the first one ever found in the Jurassic in North America, so I was kind of interested. And so I asked the guy at the counter, said, where are those from? Oh, they're from the Morrison Formation, the other side of Arches. The Morrison. Jurassic ankylosaurs falling out of the sky. The guy says, did you see the thing at the bottom? Went around, looked at the bottom of the case. This big mass. Looking at it, I realized, that's a pelvis with a fused sacral shield over the top of it. That's a polacanthine set of hips. That's the first one ever seen in North America, except for Apatosaurus. That's important. That's from the Morrison, you say? So, went out there, checked out the site, looked at the site. Nope, it's not from the Morrison. It's from near the base of the Cretaceous.
Which is even cooler.
And so, okay, and they turned the site over. And the guy's name was Rob Gaston. So I ended up calling him Gastoni, but Rob's been a partner in this for a long
Rob's great,
time.
yeah.
He worked at the rock shop because he died in paleo. Guy behind the cash register.
Today, Rob Gaston does some of the best dinosaur molds and casts in the world, yeah.
Right? Utahraptor skull is one of his composite casts. It's not a sculpture, that's a cast with missing parts fabricated. What we knew that was real is of adult material is in there. He blew up a couple small elements.
So Rob had found this polacanthine in the first place?
Yeah, he found the original Gastonia site.
That's why it's named Gastonia, after Rob Gaston. Yeah. So how does that lead into Utahraptor?
Gaston, North Carolina. No, I guess not.
When you look up Gastonia, there's a... Yeah, no, that Gastonia, I think, is a town in North Carolina.
The town is Gastonia,
yeah.
But anyway, so I'm in there, first season, first week, and here's a theropod tooth, and I'm finding this, and pretty cool. There's another tooth next to it. That was one of those in the quarry. We got a big theropod in here, dinosaur size, kind of, in that range. And toward the end of the summer, I got a yell from this guy, Carl Amani. Carl, Jim, got something weird over here. Can you take a look? I think it's maybe a cervical rib. Well, I'm not sure I want to unfold for a cervical rib. 10, 15 minutes later, he calls me again. Jim, you might want to come over here and look at this. And he had half the Utahraptor sickle claws. And I get my head down and looking at it. I realize this is a really thin, big claw. This is way bigger than Deinonychus's claw, but it's a blade. It's not flattened, you know, because you see the natural curvature of the backside. There's crushing in that quarry, no doubt, but that was, you know, real. It covers the rest. So, oh man, that, you know, Gastonian gorge eye.
Yeah.
Dawn, I had John Ostrom's book with me because he's,
yeah.
They only had a few pictures of Deinonychus in that book. He was helping me out, sent me a copy of his book. Looking through it, and there's a picture of the claw, and they said, well, the scale is probably wrong there. But this is probably a Deinonychus claw, because everything in the early Cretaceous is,
Yeah.
you know.
That's what everyone thought back then,
Going,
yeah.
no, this thing is double the size of that, at least. You know, this is a big animal. So next week, I'm at the Society of Earth Paleo meetings in San Diego. And Dodd Burge comes up to me and hands me a plastic replica of that claw. Looking at that thing, and ooh, neat. You know, pocket, go to the meeting, you know, because they were standing the same. The meeting, come in the back door of the meeting hotel.
Yeah.
And there's Bob Bacher sitting on a table with all his alkalites around him on his throne. He had a chair up on the table with all his alkalites all around him. Yeah. And I'm like, you know, and I'd known Bob real well for about almost 20 years at that point. So I hand him the claw, the cast. I said, Bob, what do you think? He looks it over and curls his mustache. Piece of junk, crushed Torvosaurus claw. And in lateral profile, it is on the same size and shape of a Torvosaurus.
Yeah.
You know, thumb claw. So I'm like, no, I don't think so. I think it's a giant dromaeosaur claw. And I said, I'm going to go find John Ostrom and show it to him. And I won't tell you what he said to that. You know, and left and went in. Found John and Jim Matson, first day paleontologists. Standing together chatting, and John, what do you think of this? And I didn't tell him what it was.
Yeah, this is John Ostrom, discoverer of Deinonychus.
Discoverer of Deinonychus, the guy figured the bird, dromaeosaur length. I mean,
giant in the world of dinosaur paleontology.
Nice guy, always treated me wonderful. Sued Bob at one point for stealing a bunch of stuff. But he taught Bob stuff before he published it.
Yeah.
And Bob just ran with it. You know, well, you taught me this, so, you know, so the whole warm-blooded thing, Bob took all the credit, but John Ostrom started it. Bob just, you know, trumpeted it. Anyway, you know, John starts flashing the claw around. You know, you put the sheath on that would have been like this long, and he's swinging around like a sword. So I'm sitting there, smiling. You know. Okay, I feel good now.
Yeah.
You know, sorry, Bob. I'll go with John. But later, you know, Bob worked for Dynamation. I worked for the corporation. I worked for the society, the nonprofit.
Gotcha.
You know, participant-funded research, and once in a while I'd go to California, and when I was there, Bob would often be there.
And Dynamation, for anybody wondering, that's the company that used to produce these robotic dinosaurs that you see. You still see them in museums.
Oh yeah, you still get them once in a while, and
you
know, and we have a whole thing on Dynamation.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, Dynamation had had this meeting out there, and we're talking, and you know, I'm looking at this, and at that point, Bob believes it's real and
ontogeny
things. So you know, we happened to go to the Dinosaur Club party up in Burbank. Don Bluth, you know, they have this LA County paleo people as well.
Okay.
What's his name from the Night Forge? He's really dinosaurs. The bailiff.
I don't remember. Yeah, I never watched.
But anyway, he was there. And a number of people in Lucas Studios were there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I passed this claw around, and they're, oh, man, you know, that's amazing. And this guy pulls something out of his pocket.
Yeah.
And passes it over to me. What do you think of this? And I look at this thing, and it's like, that's Spielberg's raptor. And I look at it, and I go, well, mine's bigger. It's not as fat, it's more of a blade. That one is actually not even a biologic logarithmic curve.
Yeah.
It's a weird curve. And it's textured like a ram's horn. which is not how a claw's gonna look. But okay, and that's the one they used all the way up Jurassic World. Same one tapping on the table in the kitchen, tapping on something at the end of Jurassic World. Like, there's my raptor. 'Cause I have a cast of that claw because he said you can keep this. In fact, I'm really curious where those things are. No, they probably brought them up to my office. I should have brought them down. But anyway, looking at that, and he says you can keep it. But that's when I found out about the giant raptors in the movie. This is like a year and a half before the movie came out.
Sure. Okay. Been like 1991, something like that.
And they were doing the animations and probably doing filming in Hawaii at the time.
Yeah.
But basically, okay, and of course, Dynamation, copyrighted the nickname. So you never heard anyone call it Super Slasher because it was copyrighted.
Oh, okay.
So if you want something not really good.
Yeah.
But they copyrighted Super Slasher. Never to see the light of day once Dynamation went belly up. But basically, thinking, should we call it Dino Raptor, the Terrible Raptor? What should we name this thing? And at the time, my predecessor, state paleontologist, I was in Colorado at the time, was like, I don't like corporations being involved in science. I'm not a fan of this. And, so he wasn't letting me get permits to work on this site in Utah, which is why I developed a partnership with the Prehistoric Museum and Don Burge.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because, we didn't keep fossils. We always worked with the Museum of Western Colorado.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, no, okay, I'll work with Don Burge. And Bacher says, well, why don't you call it Utahraptor? And I was just like, oh, that might open some doors in Utah. Got me this job.
Yeah.
Opened a few doors.
Yeah.
So I ran with Utahraptor. Okay, we're going with that.
Uh-huh.
I'll help you get with permitting, ease some of the, break trail a little bit for me. And so that's where we got the name Utahraptor. And it was only the 6th dromaeosaur named anywhere in the world.
Which is nuts. Yeah.
Number 6 in the world. Now there's over 40.
That's impressive. Yeah, who were they before? Velociraptor, Dromaeosaurus, Deinonychus, Adasaurus maybe?
No, it's one from Mongolia.
Pulsonpes or something?
Yeah.
And hang on, I gotta change something on here too because
I can't.
I just realized that this is. That should help with the alert. Sorry about that, everybody.
But yeah, Saurontholestes was number 5, and Utahraptor was number 6.
Only the 6th Dromaeosaur. Again, where did I put my Dromaeosaur sheet?
And Dromaeosaurus was the first one.
Yeah.
And what amazes me is no one's ever found a second one.
Which is kind of crazy. Like I've heard some people say that maybe it's a composite or something like a.
No, the original specimen. No, the original is not.
Yeah.
Well, they got a skull. It's missing skull roof. Associated foot. They've never found. They get teeth. The teeth are diagnostically different.
Yeah. I've heard some people say, like, just as a rumor, that maybe there's juvenile tyrannosaur mixed up in it or something.
So that's
like
what. Nah.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, they don't have. They have. It's pretty scrappy, but they have lower jaw. They've got the skull roof. But the rest of the skull is all there. It's clearly dromaeosaur. The teeth are completely unique, sharing like the twist in the premaxillary carina that only Utahraptor and Dromaeosaurus have, which is why I put it as a dromaeosaur. Every phylogeny pops out as a dromaeosaur.
Okay.
But it occurs 40, 50 million years later.
Yeah.
It's a very
really interesting that you've got that much of a gap. So
yeah,
Dromaeosaur, this is the whole family of
animals.
There's Dromaeosaurus,
a handful of them.
Velociraptor.
Yeah, Ostroraptor. I love Ostroraptor because it's almost as big as Utahraptor.
Yeah.
But if you look at the skull,
it's got this weird elongate.
Arms, it's almost certainly all the South American stuff's like that. These long, narrow snoots. They're probably fish eaters.
Yeah, Butryraptor's the same way.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I think they're fish eaters.
That's how they're shown in Prehistoric Planet.
Yeah, and that's what most people think. Because
Yeah.
you look at the shape of the jaws, they never develop a notch or a expanded distal end like you get on real dedicated fish eaters. But the claw.
Well, I think there's probably a different kind of fish eating there. Right? That's part of my work on Spinosaurids right now. It's like, you'll hear about that later, Chad. Yeah.
It's and Spinosaurid. The wear on their teeth.
Oh yeah, those guys were fish eaters par excellence.
Eating a lot of Lepidotes.
Yeah.
Which were probably like salmon. They were probably tons of them, at least seasonally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and going up those rivers to
Yeah.
reproduce. Because in southern Utah, we get big scales this big.
Big ganoid scales, yeah.
Natarita, going way up the fluvial system, so you consider them more of a marine fish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're clearly breeding up in the rivers. You know, and you know, you get them down there that are more than 2 meters long.
Mm-hmm.
You know, probably tons of them, like salmon, except they're like gars, you know, armor-plated salmon.
Yeah.
You know, and tons of them. I mean, they're not. You know, it's like they're always showed eating a big Onchopristis.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
which are
Spinosaurus
present there,
especially, yeah.
But Onchopristis was probably a deeper water thing. They would have to
Yeah.
say, you know, swim for those.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lepidotes, you know, because I do think it's feeding a lot like a stork. You know, just because it's got an aerial retraction. You know, if it was swimming more, the nasal openings would be on top of the snoot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're on the sides, back.
I agree with you about this, but I can't quite talk about it yet because this is some unpublished stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've been talking about this for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's exciting. I was hoping to get that ready, you know, get that submitted for publication before I left for, you know, before
And
I came
there's
here.
no question that, you know, Spinosaurus are fish eaters.
Oh, definitely,
You know,
yeah. No,
question.
we got a strong
Yeah.
consensus about that now.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. You look at bears. Does anyone tell me from skeleton bears are fish eating as a big part of their life?
Yeah,
There's no adaptations for it.
yeah.
You know, these
It's
things
a
have
cultural thing for bears. Yeah,
adaptations.
yeah. There's
And-
only certain populations that do it. Other bear
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so if you got
The ones that
something
inland
that's
don't.
physically adapted, you know, to eat fish, it's probably eating fish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, particularly if you're that big, you know, that's not a good setup if you're going to be ripping apart giant sauropods.
Speaking of which, I was going to ask you, what do you think is how is this animal catching its prey? What is it doing in its ecosystem? What would Utahraptor be like when
Well,
it's
it's
alive?
probably its main prey is probably iguanodonts.
Yeah.
You know, because
I mean, this would suggest that too, that we've got an iguanodont in here with all these
This
guys.
one was easy though. It's
Yeah.
stuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have iguanodonts, and then the sauropods. The Turriosaurus is probably no more than 50 feet.
Huh.
You know, there's big brachiosaurs.
Yeah.
Cedarosaurus gets to be a big brachiosaur.
Sure.
Big brachiosaur is probably immune, you know, even from Utahraptor. But Turriosaurs, which are 50 foot, good-sized sauropods, but not giant,
Yeah.
you know, were probably fair game. You know, and if the thing reached around, bit it, you know, as bonkers, I could pick her off the ground, you know.
Yeah.
You know, their necks aren't hugely long, but they're reasonably powerful.
How are
and
these
they're
guys
eating
using
small things too, you know.
Yeah.
But if you look at the claws, they're not as recurved as you see in Deinonychus and stuff.
Yeah, they're
so
kinda
they'd be
straighter.
better stabbing. They're not slashing. You know, that was what we used to think they were cutting through.
Yeah.
But think of plastic going through inch-thick hide. Sauropods, even a big guanodont, the skin's got to be like that thick.
Yeah.
And you know, say, oh, I'm going to jump up with a plastic Bowie knife and try to take out an elephant. You know,
Don't try
it's-
this at home,
yeah.
chap.
I mean, you can't. You're not going to pull it through the hide of an elephant.
Yeah.
But because of the point, you can punch a bunch of holes in the elephant.
Huh.
And these things probably are so well adapted for kicking.
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean, their legs are short, but they're massively built. Look at that leg. You know, it anchored big muscles.
Yeah.
You know, this thing is probably punching holes. And I always tell people, pick up a cat that doesn't want to get picked up,
Uh-huh.
and look how fast it's moving those hind legs at you. Picture Utahraptor doing that with foot-long blades,
Yeah.
or longer, on its feet, stabbing you that
Uh-huh.
fast. Wah, 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 wah. You know, basically they're stabbing you and dropping you pretty quick. You know, they get, and you know, and they got claws. They can climb up. They got big recurved raptorial claws on their hands.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they can just latch into you. Those big claws on their feet. They can climb with them too. You know, punch them in and use them. You know, as
Yeah.
climbing spikes. And then the other one, they just start kicking in. You know.
And these guys got some robust jaws with thick teeth
Oh
too.
yeah,
Like
no,
it's
yeah. Oh
it-
yeah, no, if they get in.
much more so than like
they're
other
open in, They got
dromaeosaurs.
the claws hooked in, and they reach under the underside of a sauropod or guanodont's neck.
Yeah.
And rip it out. I mean, yeah. There's no question that thing had the ability to bite pretty appreciably. You know, that's a mega predator. You know, Brooks says he's now got some carnosaur teeth
Uh-huh.
from a site at this level.
So these
And
are
of course,
coeval
Brooks-
with.
But I don't know how big they are. Brooks doesn't share anything with me.
Okay.
I mean, I've worked it out with a few students. And, it's just like, you know, it's like, I'm not going to publish on it. Brooks wouldn't let me see any of his Utahraptor stuff. It was like, I mainly work on dinosaurs, Brooks. I mean, it's not. I try to be a good citizen in this profession.
Yeah.
You know, but there is a lot of freaking paranoia.
Well,
You know, the only reason
I think it's
he
how
ever
academics are
published-
trained oftentimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
published a Moabosaurus is because I had Mirosaurus. You know, he had 17 brain cases, maybe 18 now, and you know, lots of skeletal material. You know, but he didn't have any jaws. I had much more of a skull than he had. And I told him, 5 years, this thing is going to be named. Get on it. And they've had mounted skeletons at that point for over a decade. You know, Japan and elsewhere. It's like, name the dang thing. They put Camarasaurus skulls on them, but you know, but they were basically, you know, name the thing. And the only reason they published is, you know, and I gave them all the time in the world. I gave them more than 5 years. You know, it was like name, because if people decide, you know, they're the same genus, you're going to lose your name. You know, I know they're different species because there's character differences. But you know, they lumpers or splitters.
Yeah.
You know, if I, you know, and you've had that 30, almost 40 years ago now. You know, you've had that animal a long time. You know, I think you have priority over me. I'd like to give you all the breaks in the world. You know, name it. And they did. They got it out, and they called it a Camarasaur. You know, it's a Torosaur, but you know, I worked with Europeans and new Torosaurs. You know, it's like, you know, and you know, Brooks and these guys in the U.S. That's one of our problems. We have this incredibly rich sauropod fauna in the Morrison. Amazing. And the Europeans have a lot of stuff, but not nearly as much as they're getting more good stuff. But basically, you know, no one goes to Europe to look at sauropods, particularly in the Jurassic. You know, and well, we have the best stuff there is. Maybe we'll go to China, but go to Europe, go to Spain, Portugal. Why would we ever spend that money to do that? And so our guys know nothing about those faunas. You know, they're getting better. I'm like, go over to Europe. I mean, it's not like they won't let you see the stuff.
Sure.
You know, just go over and do comparative work in Europe. You could cross the Atlantic in the Jurassic. These faunas are intermingling.
Yeah. That's why the dinosaurs are the same on either side for anybody watching.
Same groups, I mean, it's like you could cross. There might have been a little bit of island hopping involved, and you know, but we have some of the same genera. You know, on both sides. That's not happening if they're totally isolated. I
mean, they're more similar. The European and North American faunas are more similar than, like, Tendaguru in Tanzania to North America, right?
Oh yeah, well they came through Europe to get there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they have Ceratosaurus down there too, and they've got Torosaur now.
Brachiosaurus, and Giraffatitan,
Yeah, I mean, but they're going through Europe. I mean, the Europeans are saying Cedarosaurus is closer to Luciatitan, which is a brachiosaur from Portugal. I mean, you know, that's Upchurch and Mannion, those guys. And, you know, I'm not a sauropod worker. I'm not going to argue with them. But I have a lot of folks in the U.S. that argue with me over this. Well, go look at it. You've never seen that stuff. Go look at it. Look at their data. You know, these guys aren't slackers. You know, they know what they're doing. And they've been over here. It's just, you know, Paul Upchurch has been over and worked with, you know, he's co-author on Mirosaurus. But, you know, he's worked with us on this stuff. Yeah, you got to collaborate. It's a big planet.
For sure.
You know, and you
absolutely,
know, and a lot of time involved, a lot of critters. You can't know everything, and those of us that think they do,
doesn't go well.
Yeah, it doesn't go well.
Yeah.
That's why it helps to have friends. You know, it really does.
Yeah.
You do better work if you get friends. People like you. They'll do stuff for you. They'll work with you.
Yeah. Seems like you've been pretty good at that. Everybody likes you, Jim.
I mean, it's the only way to be. I just don't understand it. You know, why you would want to just tick everybody off all the time.
Some people can't help it, I guess.
Some people go out of their way. You know.
Yeah.
You know, to burn bridges. I've never worked in an institution that would ever have me back.
Well, thank you for going out of your way to be so kind to us here and take us on an
please
explore.
help Christa with the book.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the GoFundMe site, you know, Google Christa Sadler, look at her other books on Amazon. They're beautiful. She's got a bunch of books on river running too. She's a river runner as well. But she's got a master's in geology, on paleo, you know, She worked with Scott Madsen at the Museum of Northern Arizona for years, where he went to Dinosaur. But you know, she's got roots, but she's a public person. She's not a scientist in terms of how she does it.
Yeah.
She
has training in science,
science
but
communicator.
yeah.
You know, and we need science communicators. It's valid to get a science graduate degree in science communication.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy just the other day that you can't do paleontology and focus on science communication. Won't let you. He says, well, I already got a PhD in astrophysics, or I forget what his PhD is. You know, I like paleo, and I wanted to get a master's doing paleo, but focusing on science communication.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I do. You know, nope, can't do it. You know, if you do an invert thesis, no one will care. If you do a dinosaur thesis, invert people won't care. It's like, I mean, you know, heck, I did my master's and PhD on invertebrates.
Yeah, ammonites, right?
Yeah, ammonites and ionoceramid bivalves. I've named like 30 gastropods. You know, and I published it. These are named. You know, but it's, you know, if you got the chops, you know, I always loved dinosaurs. I was doing dinosaur digs, you know, within the first year, maybe the beginning of the second year. I was in college, you know.
Yeah.
Which is why I was getting hired as a grad student to go teach people, you know, students how to dig dinosaurs for various universities. I worked on a number of digs where they just brought me in as the hired gun to train the students. And that's how I raised money to finish my dissertation on ammonites and inoceramids, because the oil companies had collapsed and there was no money to do that kind of science anymore. Flavor of the month. You need to be flexible. You need more than one tool in your toolbox.
Well, speaking of that, to kind of close this out here, I'm sure there are probably at least a few people watching right now who would love to become paleontologists. We've probably got some younger people who are watching who they want to do this. They want this to be their career. What's some advice that you could give for aspiring paleontologists?
You know, the big thing is, you know, as an undergraduate, you know, going to Harvard or Yale might not be your best choice.
Yeah.
Because you're way down on the pecking order. You know, you'll be able to take a paleo course by someone that's very good. But to really get involved with it, and this is a lot of part of it, just get into it. Smaller schools with good programs. Yeah. And they sometimes are programs that you've barely ever heard of. You know, working with people that, you know, you might have heard of. You know, Don Prothero, you know, who was Jing-Mai O'Connor's professor. He's the one. She got so excited about paleo because of him.
Really?
Her mother was an astrophysicist, but she went to Occidental and took his paleo course. She didn't know what she wanted to do until that point. And now she's the world's expert on Mesozoic birds. But Don in a smaller school, because he was, you know, he looked at teaching as a major part of what he did. Tony Martin at Emory University.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, there's some really inspirational educators. And so, and get your undergrad there. You know, when you're going for a master's PhD, then go to a, you know, bigger school. But, you know, the school here doesn't do much, grad school or undergrad. You know, actually undergrads do more here than normal because there's just not that many grad students at Paleo here. Because they don't accept anyone unless they're funded. And there's just no funding. You know, some schools where there's endowments, they can, you know, they have money. Okay, you can bring on 4 or 5 Paleo PhD students. You know, you get one here a year. Yeah. You know, and that's it. And then even then, they don't always accept anybody. You know? So it's pretty tough. About 200 applicants here. It's pretty tough. But look at, you know, as I said, science communication. You know,
another helicopter, yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, writing popular books. You know, they're, you know, paleo art. But, you know, if you're a paleo artist, the thing to do is do paleo art, but do it tied to doing popular books for kids. Kids' books sell. You know, you do a book like this that's more adult-oriented, they're like, not wanting this. We're hoping to have the one on this and the one on the Cedar Mountain for me and all the national parks in the region and museums. You'll be able to get it through Amazon. Yeah. But You know, it's really sad. I mean, that's what I buy. You know, people give me gift cards to Amazon stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I always buy a big, pricey, beautiful
Yeah.
paleo book.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you know, this is the stuff I love, and I wish people would publish more of them. But what's the point anymore if you got to pay for it out of your own pocket?
Yeah.
You know, it's tough. I'm really saddened, but interpretation, paleocrats, you need permits to do this stuff. You know, federal land, they're starting to put paleontologists in even regional offices, not just state offices in paleo. You know, various museums, even small museums. Small museum, you might be overseeing preparation, you know, wearing lots of hats. You know, I'm in a big museum. Even a big museum, you spend half your time on committees. You know, I know people, I get to work half a day a week on science. You're in what institution? You know,
I get to do more than that.
You know, but that's often,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing tons more stuff with Dynamation and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, Jeff would call me, he's in there, I had to spend half the day in this parking committee meeting. And everybody just, we got nothing accomplished, but it took us 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
You know, but we had donuts. I mean, you know, it's like, you know, you want to do science, you know, but that's the way the world is. And you want to be versatile and do things. But paleocraft, you know, government work, interpretation, you know, work in the Park Service, you know, national parks, more and more. Glen Canyon just hired a paleontologist. They're working to become a paleo park now. You know, I mean, there's multiple paleontologists in Petrified Forests and you know, the big paleo parks. And that's what I want this to be. Serious paleo park and very deserving of doing that. You know, those are jobs, and a lot of those are master's level jobs. You know, a lot of times
We need more of those,
we don't want to hire a PhD because they won't be satisfied. You know, because they're going to have to do other stuff. But they'll still get to do science too, but they got other stuff. Where a lot of times people get a PhD, PhD could be their own worst enemy because they start around for 5 years.
Sure.
I got a PhD. You know, and you go through hell to get it. You're proud of yourself. You know, but the rest of the world could care less. You know, but you get a reputation that, oh, well, we don't want to pay, they won't be satisfied in this job. You know, it's like, you know, read, learn things, learn computer, learn GIS, learn geographic information systems, GIS.
That will get you hired.
It'll get you hired a lot of stuff. We can't keep GIS people here. You know, it's like the law that everything now, including paleo locality data, needs to be GIS. ArcView is the program you use. You know, and that. But learn it well. 3D imaging. You know, how do you take stuff out of a CT unit? I mean, we've got amateurs that are doing brilliant stuff. This was someone sculpted that in a computer. And then put the 3D model online. You know, that's pretty good.
And that's new. Like, this went up in April.
They looked at pictures. I remember
Not too shabby.
them posting stuff on that. You know, they're looking at the pictures that you know, the Rob stuff is. He shows that skull in multiple views, and I kind of feel
skull
sad
right there.
because he did a lot of work on that, and then they just said, oh, you know, that'll cost you, you know, $1,500 to buy that, you know, based on real model.
Sure.
And this is our piece. I don't really pay for that, but
this was,
well,
I think,
3D model.
It was $18 to buy the 3D model, and it's about $100 worth of filament, maybe. Maybe.
Probably less.
And it bothers me because that's art. That's science. That is a scientific hypothesis. I mean, there's stuff that can be fixed in the future.
Sure.
But that's a scientific hypothesis.
And there's actual like fossil casts that are incorporated into this. Like,
totally
that's data
cast.
right there.
You know, the way Rob deals with this stuff, he casts all the real material. And then he takes the casts, and if the bench broken, he breaks them, re-puts them in, takes the distortions out. I mean, he's got stuff where if there's folds in it, he'll pull them while they're still soft, and you know, like pulling, you know, the side, you know, and make 3D. It's great at texturing. He can sculpt. He's got a nice right humerus. He can sculpt the left in an hour. They'll match it. He's an art. You know, his degrees are in art. You know, but he went into fabricating dinosaurs because he liked paleontology. And, you know, museums all over the world have this stuff.
Oh yeah,
you know?
it's some of the very best there is.
Oh
it's
and
world class.
Reasonably priced. You know,
I actually need to talk to him about some stuff for an upcoming project. So
no, Rob does things at reasonable prices. What I wonder is, You know, because there were people that he would not sell his company to
Oh yeah.
on a bet and want to take over, you know.
Uh-huh.
And say, ooh.
Because he's looking to retire pretty soon, right?
At some point, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's got buildings. that
I've
are
been to his
full of-
facility up
yeah,
there near Fruita.
buildings of nothing but molds.
Wonderful, wonderful
Buildings.
stuff.
And he's got the scientific stuff. You know, these are undistorted, and then the stuff that he's modified to make
Yeah, yeah.
mountains. But, you know, when you buy his stuff, you can get all the plans. And if you're Larry Whitmer, you know, he wants to just get stuff that's never been modified. You know, but he gets stuff all the time and scans it and has his
Yeah,
hands
yeah.
work on it. I mean, he's you know, for Rob, anything Rob does, he buys one, you know.
Yeah.
I get whatever you molded on this animal. You know, but a lot of scientists, and Rob sells to scientists really cheap.
Oh yeah,
You know, I mean,
it's been really good with us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been, you know, super helpful scientist. Where some of the other groups, you know, that mosasaur Green River, 36-foot mosasaur, you know, we got it at the Green River Museum exhibit. It's a little rinky-dink museum for $16,000. And Rob mounted it.
Yeah.
You know.
You couldn't get the armature for that for.
I guarantee you can't get anything for that, for anything for less than $250,000.
Yeah.
You know, guaranteed.
Yeah.
You know, it is significantly less than 10% of what anything, and we're probably, there may not be any as big as that anywhere.
Yeah.
A 36-foot mosasaur.
That's about as. Well, it's almost as big as they get.
Yeah,
You know.
I mean, the skulls. It's a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
You can see it at
huge
the
animal.
John Wesley Powell Museum in Green River, Utah.
They
Yeah.
got one in the Student Union at BYU.
Oh, they do?
It's BYU specimen.
Nice.
You
Okay.
know, the original stuff that he made that out of. So they've got one hanging, you know, coming down on you as you come in or up the stairs or something. It's a pretty good looking mount.
Nice.
You know, once again suspended. Marine reptiles want to suspend them.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it's pretty nice. But there's only a few of those out there. A lot more heads.
Yeah.
I think the John Wesley Powell Museum in Page, Arizona, by Glen Canyon.
Oh, okay.
They've got a skull up and down there, you know, because they know there's all these discoveries of marine reptiles there. You know, Rob has none of that material. You know, but he is one. You know, he's got a Scutellosaurus now.
I saw that on his website. I think.
It's
Yeah.
only, it's only this long.
Yeah,
You know,
it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
based off the holotype.
Yeah.
Holotype had 380 osteoderms with it. He's got all the osteoderms in it. You know, he reconstructed it differently, and
Yeah.
I might better because I worked with him
Uh huh.
than Colbert. You know, 'cause I was
Sure.
so early on.
Yeah.
But how much you think, you know, the way Rob sells stuff, one that long,
Yeah.
with all the osteoderms would cost you?
Oh boy. If I'm a museum or if I'm a
I think even if you're a museum,
10,000.
$5,000 if you're a museum. If you're just somebody.
That's awesome.
That's a you know,
Yeah.
museum that's
Yeah.
doing stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe $8,000 to the normal. But as
To
Rob says, mounting that is, it's a little, you've got all the bones.
Yeah.
You know,
But
little
how does he
big
mount
thing.
the osteoderms? Is there just a
It's-
little
there's pins
wire for
coming
each one?
off the ribs and things. Sort of
Nice.
goes in. So
Yeah.
it's like mounting a skeleton in a skeleton.
Yeah.
He says it
Yeah.
is so much work
Uh huh.
to put one of those together, but it's beautiful, and there's nothing like it. It's
Yeah.
the most primitive
Yeah.
armored dinosaur, bipedal armored dinosaur. You know, the first ones were little. It's probably the thing that made the Anamephis tracks, the first ornithological.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The rock record.
Cool.
You know, I mean, it's
Never thought about that before.
It's a really, really cool mount. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things. Let's try to find the money to get one for St. George.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, because they're a place that really needs one.
Yeah.
And they don't have the money, you know, it's just like, oh, let's get one for St. George, because they're an early Jurassic museum.
Yeah. They've got the beautiful
And
Scelidosaurus there.
Yeah. Oh,
that
yeah,
cast,
that they
yeah.
got from England. It's the only one
Yeah.
in North America.
Is it? Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Rob got permission from the owner to replicate it.
Nice.
So Rob is now,
Yeah.
but he was only allowed to make like 3 of them or something.
Oh,
He's
man.
got a traveling armored dinosaur exhibit.
Okay.
And, you know, he's got, you know, everything you could ever want.
Yeah.
For an dino. Only thing he's missing is a full Stegosaurus.
Huh.
But he's got a lot of Stegosaurus armor or what.
Yeah.
But he's got Ankylosaurus, you know, Cephalus, complete Ankylosaurus.
Yeah.
He's got Jurassic Anacretaceous Polacanthine. He's got Nodosaur, you know, he's got, you know, Mantarx. He's got that huge Porphylides.
Uh huh.
You know, I mean, he's got at least 2 or 3 kinds of glyptodons.
ontogeny.
You know, when it comes to armored creatures.
Yeah.
And then Rob's
Those are
got
hard to mount.
suits of armor and,
Yeah.
you know, Polynesian helmets made out of porcupine fish. It's a great exhibit. You know, he had
Cool.
it opened at Carnegie Museum, Pittsburgh. You know, they know the work this guy does. But, you know, people, GastonDesign.com. You know, Gaston Design, one word, go there. Because he has little things. You know, you want a Utahraptor claw. You want a Utahraptor foot. He's got a full mount. You know, full mount's not that expensive.
Yeah.
Of a Utahraptor, you know, based on bones.
Yeah.
You know,
Not a sculpt.
It's like if you're gonna do it, you know,
Yeah.
I would go for the real thing. You know? You know, it's a replica, you know, but it's a good replica.
Yeah.
You know, people can sculpt things and you know that are art. And even if you're a good artist, you know,
It's still
like,
not going to match
it's
the real
art.
thing.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's not science.
Yeah.
you
It's
know?
important to make that distinction.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there should be like a little, it almost by law, but you know, there won't be laws for it.
Hey, Don.
You put a little stamp.
Yeah, that's that
Is
noise.
that what they're doing, tearing it down? Whole time, yeah.
Oh, okay.
The old ag building over there. So it
Shoot.
looks like you guys are crushing it like 10,000.
We had earlier. Yeah, we were on the front page. So yeah, we're at about 2,600 now, which is still awesome. Not on the front page anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, you know, we made a play for Christa in the book.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully, you know, it's like, because literally that's the biggest reason I did this. I mean, I do it with my life, but
I appreciate that.
But
too.
it's a big thing.
Yeah,
You know?
it is, and we'll be
Like,
talking about that more when we're in the field.
I really want to see that book come out.
Yeah.
You know, and it will. I mean, there is no
Yeah.
question. Krista's like, don't put stuff on the internet that makes it look like this. It's going to happen.
Okay.
She says, if I have to do a bank loan for the rest, you know,
Well,
I am committed. You know, I put 2 years of my life into this.
Yep.
You know, it's going to happen.
We're asking for some more views of the block.
Yeah, we'll probably wrap up with that. Yeah.
Yeah, show the block.
Yeah.
Yes, zoom in, just, you know, and you know what most of that stuff is.
Oh, definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
More
Utah,
charismatic.
look at that sacrum versus the one over there. You know?
Yeah.
You know, that one is not used. It's the OEM.
Uh-huh.
It's bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Utahraptor. The other one is the new one.
Interesting.
Our new raptor that has two skulls.
Uh-huh.
You know, so far.
So there's at least one one brand new genus of dinosaur in this block right now.
Yeah. And we have plenty to name.
Yeah. That is super exciting. And
Yeah, we got a bunch, you know.
again, just look at those teeth. Just gorgeous right there. Wonderful preservation.
And the way, you know, when we do this, take it apart and micro CT scan it. That's the
Yeah.
way to go.
Uh-huh.
You know, and you know, we need about $250,000 to hire a preparator for
Yeah.
a couple of years where it is worth their time to move to Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Because there is no one in Salt Lake that I would trust for this.
Mm.
And if we're not paying someone, you know, like $100,000 a year,
Yeah.
you know, it is not going to be,
Yeah.
you know, worth their time to move here. And you know, they may end up getting Don's job, you know, eventually, you know, but it's still, the legislature's not giving us money. They won't hire, you know, another preparator, you know, until Don retires. And Don's assistant state paleontologist.
Yeah.
It's not like he's just prepping. He preps a few hours a week.
Yep.
You know, he's writing papers and doing other duties as well. You know.
So we need somebody full time on this.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's
it is
what-
absolutely worthy of that.
But now that we really have an attack plan,
Uh-huh.
you know, because you got to really harden it up and, you know, taking the sections apart. You want clean separations.
Yep.
You know, because you're going to put this stuff back together digitally.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
basically, just take it out in blocks that make sense, where you're not destroying the bone,
Yeah.
and then blocks small enough to put into a CT scanner.
Yeah. And this thing, you
Yeah.
know, we could take something this big. You know,
Yeah.
it's going to be a pretty good sized section, but we got to take the sections out.
Yeah.
That's how we got to approach it. And we've got the team, you know, Yale and Stony Brook, and
Yeah.
they're committed. And I told, you know, James Napoli, as far as I'm concerned, you're the guy in charge of the science now. You know, I mean, I'm getting toward retirement. I'm not going to do it. No one here is getting the keys to this car. Because it's just, I want, you know, and he did his PhD on these things, you know, revising, he's still publishing stuff.
Yeah.
But he's revising all the velociraptorines and
Nice. Yeah.
You know, and there's a number of new taxa relative to Velociraptor. That's been overly long.
Yeah.
But you know, it's all based on micro CT work, and he's up on this stuff better than anybody.
Nice.
You know,
Yeah.
so, and he's young and hungry, so he get the job done. You know, I mean, you can be good and not get the job done.
Oh yeah. Well, awesome. It's probably about time that I wrap this up. We've been going for
just give
2.5 hours,
take them
but
over there.
yeah.
The other side.
Take another run around. Some lovely ribs right here. We've got is this a gracile femur right there?
Yeah,
it is.
there's bunches.
Femoral head.
Yeah. There's bunches of them. I mean, this is a bigger one.
What's the likelihood that we've got preserved feathers in here?
Not bad. We've got keratin. Oh, you know what? Wonder how we can see it now.
Yeah.
Keratin on this claw. Let's see, this claw.
The light's a little bit more diffuse because of those clouds. And I
but you can kind of make it out. But the sheath is kind of slid off this claw.
Yeah, look at that. Holy cow.
Yeah, but there's keratin preserved. And as I said, we have bacteria that you can see in scanning electron microscopes on the bones. I mean, lots of them. You can't do a lot of taxonomy on. They look like little ampules.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a nice ampule. But you know, you got gazillions of them. They're all the same size. They're carbon films. You know, they're fossil for sure. And there's filaments of blue-green algae, and you know, the little algal mat layers and bacteria in there. Fungal hyphae. You know, because the little mats are basically little ecosystems and micro stuff.
So the cool thing is, this isn't just telling us about the dinosaurs in here, not just the theropods and the iguanodontian, but potentially it could tell us a lot about this ecosystem.
Well, it's part of many other sites.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're getting fish, lungfish, turtles.
Look at those teeth right there in that maxilla.
Yeah, but that's a new one there. Look at the inside of that skull. Zoom in on that.
Yeah. That brain case there, so that's
the
where.
inside of the brain, the new little one.
Yeah. Very cool. So you're looking at the underside. You're looking, it's upside down, and that's where the brain would be, right inside of there.
And we have the cast over here that we showed off a while ago. And it popped out of it. We'll eventually go back on. We got the parts. So
Nice.
We'll go back together.
Just astonishing. It's so cool that this got brought here in the first place. I mean, I know it was a massive undertaking, and look at the size of the sled underneath. Just
Oh yeah, building this.
gargantuan. So
One
Phil
of our
Policelli built
volunteers,
this.
and you met Phil Policelli.
He was out with us in the field last summer. Yeah.
He designed this sled.
Yeah, and that was a
built
real.
built it, drilled it, whole bit with cross marine salvage down south of us here.
Yeah.
Jim Cross, who I'm naming a dinosaur for at the end of it, basically he opened up his whole facility to build this stuff with this big equipment. So all the stuff was pre-drilled, and so we put it together. And Phil was out of town when we did this, so we had all his instructions. We put it together like an Akiko,
Like an IKEA bookshelf or something.
Bookshelf or something.
Yeah.
And it went like that. I mean,
Nice.
it took a long time.
Sure.
I mean, to get the big spikes underneath to come
Yeah.
up. See, this comes up from below. So you know how big a hole we had to dig? For a spike, long, all the way through both of those.
Oh, man.
To get up. I
Yeah.
mean, we were just sitting there jackhammering, and literally we had to dig a hole under every one of those points, that deep under, to get this thing under and up through it so we could bolt it together.
Jeez.
I mean, it was an undertaking. There's no doubt. It's hard work, and it's just a bunch of old guys, late middle-aged guys doing it. It was. There were no kids working on this. And at the end, when it came to pulling it off the hill, we got some good construction guys. Jim Cross paid for pulling it off the hill.
Yeah.
Out of his own pocket.
Was that him with the backhoe there?
No. That's what's the name from High Desert Construction,
Nice.
excavating.
Yeah.
Green River came out with it. Jim Cross and Dan Harrison. And Dan has done a lot of work for us over the years, helped us on a number of things. Good guy. He used to be on the city council. That's when we got the mosasaur and all the stuff for the Paleontological Museum.
Yeah.
Because he was the one that talked him into paying for us to do that stuff. I did that whole exhibit for under 50 grand. three-mounted dinosaurs. and good wishes of Rocky Aspen.
That's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot going to come out of this over the years.
Pretty incredible. And I'm so glad everybody was able to see that. Thank you again, Jim, for this opportunity. This has been something really special. This has been unique in the true sense of the word, so thank you.
It's a beauty, and
yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Exciting stuff coming up. And again, for anybody who's not yet followed, think about doing that, because we're going to be out in the field together digging up dinosaurs in the Cedar Mountain Formation from mid-July to about August 8th, something like that?
Yeah, he's saying August 8th. And it may depend. If we're into something really hot, it'll be longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here's the Carnosaur laid out.
Cross your fingers, because, man, that would be cool.
Here's something big with teeth.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're going to stay for
Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll be live streaming that. And then day after tomorrow, I leave for Wyoming with Ethan and the rest of the crew. We're going to be out there digging in the Almond Formation. We've got 2 duck-billed dinosaurs, Topsy, some other stuff too, things as well.
And you got some guest stars coming.
Yeah. Matt Lamont is going to be in stores.
Glenn Store, Glenn and Matt.
Yeah. So really
two big guns.
excited about that. We were watching last week.
Ethan will be a big gun.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's on his way.
But you know how much of a future big gun he is. When the head guy at the Carnegie Museum, Cincinnati Museum of Natural History, come out to join him.
Exactly. Yeah. So you'll see them on stream as well in a couple of weeks. Pretty excited about that. So, yeah. Thank you again, Jim, so much. Really appreciate your time. And
please help with the book.
Yeah.
Please.
Again, let's get another link to the GoFundMe here for Christa Sadler.
Google Christa Sadler.
Yeah. That's gonna be a big deal when that book is out, and
it'll be nice. It'll be on Amazon. It'll be on all the national parks. And
so
bookstores.
buy the book when it comes out too. I know.
It'll be a beautiful book.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's going to be big fold out,
Nice.
like 3 fold outs of each fauna going up through it.
Exciting stuff. Yeah. Holy cow! A lot of exciting things happening this summer. Let me see who else is live on Twitch right now, and we will raid out here. Let's see. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And yeah. And wait, who is live, Claire? I can't see. There we go. Here, wait here for the raid, everybody. I'm just gonna go to the starting soon screen, but thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope you had fun today. I hope you learned, and I hope you're as excited as I am for a summer of scientific fieldwork and science outreach. So, thanks again, everybody, and let's wrap this up. Stay here for the raid, and we'll go to our starting soon.